Yankees Unloaded is back. The Yankees are back in the win column. And shout out to the New York Knicks, their fans in the comments section, in the chat. You guys are headed to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. I was 4 years old, Gary. So fun day for New York sports fans, I would say. But this is a great win. This is a great win. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was really going to be a nightmare if they lost this game. They dominated this game. They really did. It just felt like this was the Yankees game all along. They go on the road. They play Kansas City, and they really look good, although you weren't seeing like the runs being scored. But I thought Will Warren did not have his best stuff, only gave up 3 hits. He didn't do anything for our prize picks pick, which it happens. But he only gave up 3 hits. He gave up 2 runs, but I was so impressed the way he gutted out 6 innings when, Gary, you saw right away, he did not have what he normally has in his arsenal. And furthermore, the guy who should not be on this team, I don't care if he's turning a corner, if you think he's turning a corner or not, Jake Bird should not be on this team over Giovanni Cruz. He threw what we are calling a batting cage pitch. If you've ever been to the batting cages, there's especially that one batting cage machine, Gary, how it like flings the baseball. It's not like one that shoots it out. It's one that like flings it, kind of like almost like the softball spin. That was the Jake Bird throw.
Yeah, that was an Iron Mike hanging breaking ball. We talked about the one we saw last year, and we haven't stopped talking about it since. I don't think any other podcast cared about how bad that pitch was, except for the two of us, since we're just 2 nerds with a pod. But Jake, that pitch may have been worse. And for it to have left Kansas City, I mean, it was a bomb. So.
Batting cage bird, man. That's
but I did like the fact that you brought up, he's batting cage bird. But Will Warren, like kind of to your point, he didn't have his swing and miss stuff. And we just normally don't see any success from Warren if he doesn't have that stuff. It's much easier said than done. It's like, oh, if you don't have your stuff, show the next thing that you've got, right? Maybe locate another pitch that you didn't expect to use at that clip and find your way to almost veteran your way through this. And obviously Will Warren isn't a veteran, but he's no rookie anymore. He can come out there where it doesn't have the tightest slider, doesn't necessarily have the changeup that I was elated to watch the changeup and see what it looked like against some of this left-handed hitting that we saw out of Kansas City, some really good power hitters that I expected a lot of swing and miss out of their game, right? Jack Caglione. And that changeup wasn't really there for Warren. And anytime we've ever said that, there's runs on the board. So the fact that Warren found his way to just grind out this start shows that he's one of the best back end of the rotation arms in baseball that isn't going to be a sexy pickup and he's not a household name, but he has every bit to do with why. And we predicted the Yankees to win 93, 94 wins. Will Warren has a lot to do with that.
I completely agree. I think it just shows the maturation between now and when he first made that debut against Philly. It's just night and day, because he would have given up 10 runs back in, his first year if he didn't have his stuff like that. He had his stuff and he was still getting crushed in his first appearance. And he's just gotten better and better and better. And to me, you should be defined based on 2 things: how good you are when you're at your best and how good you are when you're at your worst. And Will Warren is still a pretty good pitcher when he's at his worst. And when he's at his best, he's absolutely lethal. And so that's what we're looking at. It's why I mentioned, is he a star? Maybe that's a little bit, pushing it, but he's a really, really good pitcher. He's not somebody that you're going to see. Well, maybe CarShield might grab him, but you're not going to see him in like a Subway commercial or anything like that. But
Manscaped would take him.
Oh my God. And then they wouldn't pay him.
No, they wouldn't. No, they would not. So yeah, I guess I won't get myself in trouble. So
let's not do that. It's too early in the time to do that. But look, beautiful win by the Yankees. David Bednar comes in, really didn't make it too much of a cardiac arrest here. Only gave up 1 walk, didn't get a runner on second and third like it seems like he always does. So we appreciate that, David. But on top of that, you know what else we appreciate? We appreciate Cody Bellinger homering. We appreciate Caballero coming up with a base knock to knock in Volpe to go up 2-0. But when Jake Bird gave this game up and it felt bleak, he gave in just an absolute missile from Bobby Witt Jr. To be fair, it looked like it was put on a tee.
Yep.
Anthony Volpe came up and knocked in 2. That was, I mean, the base running was terrible there, getting thrown out. It's like, but I don't give a rip. And I
like the cutoff, by the way. I wanted to give Kansas City a little bit of credit.
Yeah.
Volpe expected, considering the fact that is what could be the game-winning run, he just fully anticipated that throw was going to be
I think that's
launched
fair, yeah.
either over the cutoff man's head or just to the point where they're definitely not going to be able to make that cut and get it to second base. And I just thought he did a really nice job. Obviously, you're talking about on the run. He's also walking across the mound after having caught the ball, still delivers a strike to second. Is it technically bad base running? Sure. But at the very least, I try, right? People say we don't like Volpe or we don't like Grisham. When we see something that's bad on this show, we're not just going to take an easy opportunity to throw an alley-oop and dunk on someone. I felt like obviously the positive is the swing and delivering the big hit, and that's been the big problem here with the Yankees. But yeah, as far as that play and making that decision to go to second base, I thought it was a pretty nice play from Kansas City. So I'll give Volpe some slack considering what he did today.
That's a good point, and I think context was definitely needed. It definitely sucked. When you're in the top of the 9th and you're on the road, and Cody Bellinger comes up to the plate and he grounds out, you start to feel like, oh, this just isn't our game. Like we just totally blew this and it's over. And then Goldschmidt does exactly what the Rays and Toronto Blue Jays do, and he just puts it in play. And it's the ugliest thing you've ever seen. But you know what, Gary? It was beautiful. He actually had like the worst hop you've ever seen. Like, dude, we sing the praises of Bobby Witt Jr. so much. He's a fantastic player through and through. I don't care if you had, Ozzy out there at shortstop. No one is fielding that. The way that ball died in the infield grass, no one had a chance to get that.
Ozzie Smith's not making that play. Ozzie Smith's a great glove, but he definitely didn't have the arm to deal with the play. Bobby Witt Jr. is probably the best candidate in the game to even make the attempt for that play. Sometimes
Goldschmidt beat it out.
Horrendous contact is better than none. The Yankees really haven't learned a ton about that. But again, I don't know if we have the math on how hard that ball was hit.
Oh, man. It had to have been hit like 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, it might have been 40.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, the thing with Goldschmidt is like he runs like he's got cement in his cleats. So the fact that he was able to beat that out, that was huge. That was a big deal.
It's like there's a parachute behind him. He's like those army guys in Toy Story.
Yeah.
They're all the green dudes. But anywho, guys, welcome to Yankees Unloaded. I'm Gary Sheffield Jr. That's Jake Ellenbogen. Jake, I want to talk about Volpe, right? Because you mentioned the at-bat, right? And the swing. That was the thing that stuck out to me. The swing. Traditionally, Anthony Volpe's a player that former Yankees, Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, you'll hear it from people who cover this game, and Jack Curry, Michael
36.8, by the way, miles per hour.
30. Oh, so I said 40.
You're on it, man. You are on it.
That's insane. It was I pulled it out my behind. It was
real quick before we get into Volpe.
Yeah, what's up?
That's not even the least amount of velo on a hit today.
Who else had one worse than that?
JC Escara, 35.2. Hey, good things happen when you put the ball in play.
All the conversation on luck and, he hit the ball 108. It should be successful according to the math and according to expected stats. Jake, just before the show, you were like, hey, do you know this guy? He's got this expected batting average. And obviously you said it in a way where you knew what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I hate expected numbers. Just get hits. Just get it done. And Anthony Volpe he didn't crush the ball today. He didn't crush it. He found a way to get it to the grass. Our other RBI knock in Jose Caballero. Guys, go to YouTube. Watch what that hit looked like. He just serves it out to the outfield and gets a job done. Man on third base, 2 outs. We're not looking for you to drive the ball. Get it to the grass and get a job done. And the Yankees, thankfully, I like to watch something work when we've been begging for it and then they do it in a game and they're rewarded with a win. I love that because the last thing I wanted to be doing is talking about what Cabby did well and what Belly did well on the road and the swing Volpe had. And you look up and you're like, 5-4 Yankees lost because Jake Bird or Bednar came in and ruined the game. The Yankees, in my opinion, deserve to win because this was more of a style we've been asking for. Just make it ugly and get it done. And that's more of a winning style baseball game that the Rays typically play, the Jays last year play, right? A lot of the winners, even the Dodgers in the 2024 World Series, Jake, they admitted to us before the series starts, we're just trying to put the ball in play. That's not box office. That's not material that you're expecting to hear from a team like that who rakes. Just put the ball in play. And it goes to show you, you get rewarded by putting the baseball in play. And I thought everything started with that Goldie at bat. So then, of course, nothing can happen. Last thing I'll say was Jazz Chisholm with the knock, taking advantage of a bad arm in right field and getting to second base. He looked like Jack Sparrow getting over there, but he gets there. Game-changing play for the Yankees.
Yeah, and then keep this in mind. Say what you will about him. Schumann is on this roster to fill a role. We talk about that all the time. He's not who I would have up there. I think you can upgrade him. But at the same time, he's not going to be here when Jason Dominguez comes back. He's not going to be here when Stanton comes back. But, do they win this game necessarily if they have to stick with Goldschmidt? I mean, maybe, but I don't know because that run has to score.
It does.
So those are the little things where like Schumann getting to third, Goldschmidt's not getting to third on that. So therefore, Jazz isn't getting to second on that. So now it's first and second with Volpe. And with Goldschmidt leading the way, Jazz can't, surpass him. So how are you even running the bases there? It's actually a really interesting thing that if you don't really think about it, like you don't realize, but Goldschmidt's not fast. So like Jazz Chisholm might even get himself thrown out trying to make sure he doesn't overrun Goldschmidt.
It's not really a decision at that point. Jazz essentially with a lead runner, one base ahead of you, the decision's now out of your hands. You're staying at the base. You're at the will of the runner in front of you. If he advances, so will you. And that's the decision that Volpe obviously made of both runners are going to advance and so will I. But if he saw someone get held up at third base, you think Volpe's trying to get to second? Probably not. You expect the cutoff. So yeah, I want to get to Volpe because again, the story is the swing, not necessarily the result. It's a great thing to win a baseball game. But again, in a season of 162 games, wins, they don't mean nothing, but that's not really the entire story here. What matters is the long term with the Yankees. And in my opinion, the decision of Anthony Volpe isn't a decision between Jose Caballero at shortstop or a decision between Anthony Volpe and Jazz Chisholm at second base. And again, I believe Anthony Volpe is a second baseman. That long term, if he's going to stay here at all, he's a second baseman defensively. I think he has the glove to do it. He doesn't have the arm to stand and be, obviously we've talked about how the lack of aggressiveness he's shown of charging balls. If he's going to prove he can't be aggressive and not bail himself out with that weak arm, put him over at second base. My opinion is this, Jake. The decision is between Anthony Volpe and Ryan McMahon. Ryan McMahon at this point solved the problem that the Yankees had last year, not this year. Last season, the big problem was that Peraza couldn't field his position, wasn't hitting a lick, but everyone, including yourself, talked about the defense and what he was doing all year. The problem was that defense went the wrong direction. So the Yankees said, we have a defensive problem only at third base. We'll give up the offense. We just need someone who can pick it over there. So they bring in Ryan McMahon for $13 million a year on a multi-year deal. And now Yankees fans have changed their tune. Not that we flip-flopped, but now the expectation is we need more hitting. We need more bats. We need more productive outs. We need more guys who can get a hit with runners in scoring position. And not that it's that much better, but who would you rather have up to the plate, especially against lefties, Anthony Volpe, or would you rather see Ryan McMahon step up to the plate? Yeah, it might be a marginal impact and a marginal improvement, but I think it's, regardless of that fact, it is an improvement for the Yankees to put Volpe in the infield and find a way to get the Jazz Caballero Volpe infield going. It's not the sexiest I've ever seen, but it's better than Ryan McMahon being there every single day.
No, I think that's really well put. I think with Anthony Volpe, the flatter swing is definitely what the doctor ordered. He doesn't have a barrel this year, which is 95 miles per hour or more. I know you know that, Gary, but just for anybody at home that doesn't. And that's a good
Barrels.
thing because I don't care. I don't need Anthony Volpe to have any savant page whatsoever. I don't need the max velo to be high. I actually think he had better hit tool. He had a better hit tool and bat to ball skills than giving credit for, because I think they saw the power leakage in AAA and how he was starting to kind of put it together. And I remember we talked about this. All of a sudden, he's starting to kind of show power that maybe he didn't show in the past. And so they're like, oh, well, maybe if we play around with his launch angle, he could end up being a 30 home run shortstop. And it's like, this is the problem with today's game, is that people are so obsessed with home runs that, in my opinion, I'm not saying Volpe, again, going back to the whole Austin Wells talk that we've had, I'm not saying Volpe doesn't deserve blame for where he is in his career right now. But I will say, and this kind of goes back to Rowson and even before Rowson, right? The tinkering is evident, and I don't like it. So what he's done is he's gone back to the year he had the 243 batting average in 2024, and he didn't have much of an OPS, but he had a 243 average, right? He is now, his walk rate is in the 100th percentile. He's just not qualified yet because he hasn't played enough games.
That made sense. That checked out. He had Wells behind him. But to your point, he's definitely making an effort.
But that's the thing.
To first base without hitting. Yeah,
that's what he was missing, Gary, because he had a 293 on base percentage in 2024 with a 243 average. If he gets that up to, say, 330, 340, that's a pretty good baseball player. I'm not saying that we're going to jump up and down and say that this guy's a superstar. It's not what I'm saying. But Anthony Volpe at this point in his career at 25 and really being battle tested at this point, having to hit a home run in the World Series, he's had his moments. He's had some good moments. He's had some horrific moments. But today was one of those moments where I felt like the new Anthony Volpe, which really isn't new, he's just doing what he did in 2024 with a flatter swing. I really felt like that showed up. And the thing that's so impressive about that moment is not everyone on the team is doing what he did and swinging the way he did. They're swinging for the fences. They're trying to hit a 3-run shot. What good is a 3-run shot there, Gary? All you need to do is knock in 2. You hit one into the gap and boom. And by the way, you hit one in the gap hard and you might not score both runners. His 73, 74 mile an hour velo is what allowed those two guys to score and unfortunately got him thrown out. But
so you're saying he essentially got rewarded for trying to do less, which is, I guess, technically speaking, isn't that exactly what Jeter, A-Rod, Michael K,
that
Jack
was like
Curry,
a Jeter hit,
all
Gary.
The coverage?
It just was.
Isn't that exactly what everyone's been asking of Volpe? Now, again, just because we saw this today doesn't mean we're just going to see it long term. But the version that you saw of Volpe today, where he's just trying to put the ball in play, Caballero, like it was a mirror of each other. It's exactly what it was. It was two players that didn't care if you looked up. None of them are getting a barrel for those swings. None of them. And if you go to Savant, matter of fact, Savant will tell you we're going further in the blue based on those two knocks. 80 mile an hour slap singles. You're not getting anything for that as far as analytics go and expected numbers. But who cares about expected numbers? I care about the numbers. The numbers. What were the numbers? And right now, Anthony Volpe is the hero of the day. And Jake, he's not a hero on the Savant page. He's not a hero for analytics minds. And again, analytics are a good thing. But when they're abused, they're awful. They are to your detriment. And I've been saying for years now, you can have a calculator in the math classroom, but if you have to pull out your calculator for every equation you ever have, you're not very good at math. And that's the same thing with baseball. It's the same thing with management. Anthony Volpe has to do less. Put the ball in play, draw your walks. And Matt, New York Yankees, says, but his ex-Woba sucks. Ex-Woba, anyone talking about ex-Woba, again, can't
just
even
turn
take
the dial down.
Yeah, you just can't take it seriously. If you want to use it for hey, his ex-Woba is such and such, and we're thinking that the trend could be this, you're not going to use that number to draw a conclusion. By all means, use ex-Woba. But if people are just going to use analytics to simply say, I believe this. Let me affirm that with this number from analytics. That's a mistake every day of the week. I'll say it. I will say it continuously. I don't care who I have to tell it to. The Yankees have to find a way to understand that analytics have a part in this game, but sometimes you just got to slap a ball into the outfield and to hell with analytics. I thought Volpe made that decision today, and it's the only reason we won this game.
Yeah, and you know what that is? That's
What's
Cody
that?
Bellinger, and that's Alex Bregman baseball. That's what that is.
Correct. Because
yeah,
you wanted Bregman.
Yes.
Not because of the savant, not because of the numbers at Yankee Stadium. Both were not great, right? Correct. They're not great. They're not excellent to the amount of money the Cubs gave them. The savant page would disagree with that decision. They would say that that was an overpay. They would say that that was a mistake. But the savant page also said the Yankees signing Cody Bellinger and making that trade of Cody Poteet and taking on big money. Bellinger and his exit velocity, he wasn't barreling the baseball at that level. That's the reason the Dodgers got rid of him in the first place. That's the reason why the Cubs didn't invest in him long term. But what we learned last year with the Jays is that not everything's about a barrel. Sometimes it's ugly. And a lot of the contact players and a lot of our audience said, oh, the contact player is the new power hitter. Love that super chat, by the way. Isn't that essentially saying we're going to bring in contact players and we're going to have them make an impact despite what the analytics say we should do? And right now, the Yankees actually have a few players in their lineup, in today's lineup, where they won this game. And I want to give Boone credit and give the staff credit. This also goes for Brian Cashman because they collectively make these decisions. Sometimes you just need to put the guy in there that doesn't hit the ball as hard, but he hits it more often. And maybe some more positive results will happen so we can stop talking about what's expected and we can start talking about what's actually happening at the baseball field. So credit to Anthony Volpe. I have no idea if he started listening, not to us, but maybe to a new perspective, maybe a Cody Bellinger, maybe a Jose Caballero. I have no idea who got in his ear, but it seems like, Jake, someone other than the hitting coach who largely teaches home runs and exit velocity got in his ear, because I actually wanted to pitch that question to you, Jake. Do you think anyone outside of the organization or in had this impact on Volpe to say, maybe I'm not a power guy, maybe I'm not a barrel guy, maybe I'm just a role player? Do you think anyone told him to do this?
No, I think he saw the writing on the wall. I think he saw, hey, this George Lombard Jr. is getting talked about a lot more than he was last year, right? He saw the writing on the wall in spring training. They're saying this kid is really good. Mm-hmm. And then he's out there in AA and AAA, and he's seeing these other guys, and he's like, man, I got to get this thing together. And I think he's made this adjustment. It's a different swing. Like, it's similar. Like, he flattened his swing like back to 2024. Mm-hmm. But you notice the follow through. It's almost like kind of Trent Grisham-esque, where he doesn't go all the way through. And I honestly think that's almost him trying to put like an emphasis on like just putting it in play. Like I think in the past, and we've seen uppercut Volpe. It's not fun to watch. It's just not. So I'm okay if he never hits another home run. Totally fine with it. If he's going to put the ball in play like that, he's a role player, Gary. I don't need him to be the hero. I don't need him to bat first, right? If he's just in the lineup over Ryan McMahon, and that was the prompt. Should Anthony Volpe stay in the Yankees lineup over Ryan McMahon? Resounding yes. He's better. He just is. Like Ryan McMahon right now, his on-base percentage, we were getting on Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe's career worst on-base percentage is 272. It was last year, right? That was bad. Ryan McMahon's is 255 right now. So it's just like, here's the thing. And
again, no signs of that improving, by the way.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, he's over 30 now. Anthony Volpe's 25. So it's kind of the argument that I was making, and like my father's brought up multiple times, where it's like, yeah, I understand Volpe upsets you. I get that. But he's still young. Like, he's still a young player, and he's still going through these growing pains. I know that sounds crazy. Look at Joe Adele. And I think I would point to Joe Adele as kind of like maybe what you could get from Anthony Volpe. I know, Michael K doesn't think Joe Adele is worth his salt, but
Michael K knows
I'm kidding.
Joe
of course,
Adele's a good player today.
yeah,
But it was hard to ignore how bad it got. And
it was
obviously that's
funny.
part of what he was covering. It was hilarious. It was
It
one of the
was so
funniest
funny.
things. And mind you,
I pointed
no one
out,
ever,
and you couldn't unhear it.
no, and obviously no one on Yes Network mentioned it, but it was hysterical, man.
Yes,
Because it was true what Michael K was saying is that, hey, this guy was just a total bust. But not everybody has a straight line to the big leagues. Not everybody is the number 5 overall pick. They don't hit 320 in year 2 and then they never stop running from there. They sign the big deal. Not every player's like that. Some guys sign the big deal and they're just atrocious. After that, there's a ton of pressure after getting paid. Or some guys, they get the big signing bonus and you go through the daunting minor leagues, just ugly. It's not a pretty experience. This isn't college football where there's 50, 60,000 people in the stands. It's ugly. If you guys want to go watch some minor league baseball, it looks like it's played in someone's backyard or it's backyard baseball. And it's a couple of rich guys with big bonuses and the rest signed internationally. It's not pretty again. And you get up to the big leagues, it's a lot of pressure. It's your life. And you get up to this league and you start struggling and you're playing in the New York market, you have to deal with all that pressure. And it's not our experience and it's not our responsibility, but we are going to judge based on what those results look like. And Anthony Volpe's results weren't great. But right now, in comparison to Ryan McMahon and what he's paid by the Yankees, it's an easy decision as far as I'm concerned. Ryan McMahon shouldn't play over Anthony Volpe. And again, I wouldn't put Volpe at third base, but what you were saying is that Jazz probably should shift over to third base. Jazz is not a good enough overall consistent baseball player where I can say he should just be locked and loaded at second and I cannot move him. If he has to move for the betterment of the team to get Volpe at a more opportunistic position, I make that choice. I put Volpe at second base. And is he going to make mistakes? Sure. But I'd rather see a couple mistakes from Anthony Volpe in the field than see Ryan McMahon consistent 400, 500 at bats. That's a mistake, in my opinion, if you're Brian Cashman and you're Aaron Boone in the Yankees.
And I will say, kind of stick with the Volpe thing here. I haven't seen bad shortstop play from him so far. And it does, lead me to believe that last year, like kind of what we were saying, and we were first on this, like when he hurt his shoulder, it felt like the Yankees buried that. And we just kept saying, hey, you know what? We could just go in on Volpe all day under the sun and just say he's not a good player. And that still might be the case. But we continued to bring up, and it wasn't just us, Gary, it was people in the comment section that also agreed, hey, that shoulder could definitely be ruining his Gold Glove-esque ability. Because let's just be honest here. I actually think he should have been a Gold Glove fielder, but he won it in the wrong year. I've said that. But last year, that was not anywhere near the first 2 seasons. Not anywhere near it. And there was an injury. And guess what? You look at his numbers, he was fine fielding before the injury. Maybe he wasn't as good as the first 2 seasons, but it was a massive drop off after the injury. And they
the
tried
arm
to
accuracy
act like it
definitely
wasn't a big
was a problem.
deal.
So very similar to the Cabrera situation at third base. We in a way we forget how bad it was. Volpe wasn't a great defensive shortstop. Was he average? Sure. Volpe isn't a long-term answer at shortstop. He doesn't have the physical tools to stay at the position. And a lot of times, sometimes it's as simple, guys, as when you see the perfect game tournament, you see a lot of these showcases for high schoolers, you can look at the skill set and say, yeah, that guy can stay at shortstop. Sometimes it's as simple as just measuring how hard is the ball thrown across the diamond. Can he throw off his back foot? Is he athletic enough laterally to stay at the position? Is he too big to stay at the position? All types of little details. And Anthony Volpe's small enough to stay in the infield. That wasn't the problem. The problem is what's hanging off his right shoulder and his arm. He doesn't have a cannon. And if you look across baseball, the majority of shortstops, they have strong arms.
Yeah.
And we've looked at the eye tests. We've looked at
Bobby
analytics.
Witt Jr. today. That is,
you look at Bobby Witt Jr., the ball's
missile.
exploding through, and we're not looking to compare everyone to Bobby Witt Jr. That's unfair. But you watch the arm of Witt Jr., you watch the arm of, great shortstops in the past, Rafael Furcal, Brandon Crawford. It's a trend that shortstops and third basemen have a strong enough arm to deal with shifting, to deal with fielding the ball deep in the hole. Anthony Volpe really can't do that. And he absolutely can't afford to lack aggressiveness at the position, which he does. So again, all that we're really making the argument here is that Volpe's bat is better for the Yankees than Ryan McMahon's glove. That's really, in the end, the decision that needs to be made. And is it better for the Yankees to find a way to get a $13 million a year assets to perform? Yes. Of course it is. Of course it's better for the Yankees to play him. But Jake, he's had 137 at bats. It's a lot of at bats. We're no longer talking 30, 40 at bats. This is a larger sample size that is showing us that the Yankees offensively have an issue in their infield, and Volpe can't solve it, but he can help it. This is not a pro Anthony Volpe podcast. If you really want to take a deep look at what Jake and I both think of this player, we think he's a bust given the expectations. But in comparison to the player that we're talking about in Ryan McMahon, I feel that this is a no-brainer. For Aaron Boone, I think he needs to make a decision quickly.
I think he deserves a lot of credit for just trying Caballero today at third with Volpe at shortstop, trying to get things
made
going.
The final out as well. You're right.
Yeah, I think he deserves a lot of credit. And Caballero should be the starter at shortstop. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But if I only can get Anthony Volpe in right now playing short, and it means that he's in over Ryan McMahon, I do that every time. Because what kind of analyst would I be when I already told you that my priority is hitting and not defense? And I'm getting over a 400 on base percentage early, not a ton of at bats, only like 26 at bats. But what I've seen from Volpe is that he's getting on base. So this is somebody that is back to where he was in 2024 with a flattened swing. And if he can hit around, say, that 240 range, he's at 231 right now, but instead of a 287 on base percentage, I'm getting, an on base percentage at 350, 340. That's, like I said, that is just going to be
we could
totally
go into
fine.
the 320 range, and that is monstrous jump from the stats that you brought up earlier in the show. A 256 on base percentage, guys. The difference between a 256 on base and a 310, and 310 isn't great. It's not great.
It's not what you want.
But it's much better. It's not what you want. It's much better. So yeah, this is, in my opinion, an easy decision that Boone can make. It's harder to make it when you're in those shoes because it's putting a player who makes a lot of money just on the bench and sit down next to you. It's much easier said than done with a headset on your head, right? In a microphone. But when you're having to make decisions with grown adults, it's harder to do. So I'm going to give Boone some time with the choice. But I think if he really took a step back and realized who this decision was between, it's much easier of a choice to make than we're probably going to make it out to be. And I want to get some super chats out here as well, because Volpe, obviously, for obvious reasons, is the topic on some of them. And again, guys, if you're new to Yankees Unloaded, we go live after every game. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon, hype the video below, and most importantly, liking the video is a great way to help grow the channel, as well as super chats, which we bring all of them on air. And Guy with the 5 says Volpe again, but Guy, thank you. Says Volpe has won at least 3 games in his return. I wonder what his WAR is, Jake. Cabby's absence forced at bat against right-handers in 2026. He is hitting 419 versus lefties and 250 lifetime. Volpe's a bust, but Anthony Volpe's still good at things. He's good at more.
0.2 WAR for Anthony Volpe. Ryan McMahon has the same WAR as Randall Grichuk.
That checks out, right? Because Joe Adell robbed 3 homers in one game, and they didn't give him a 1 WAR for the game. I said, I think we need to tweak WAR, don't we?
I agree. I absolutely
should have been a 1
agree.
WAR game.
Is Volpe now Joel Adell at this team? Like, what are we looking at?
I don't know, but what player at this point are we asking Volpe to be situationally, right? Aren't we really asking Volpe to be the guy who hits 8 homers a year, fields a position like a utility guy? Like if we throw you at second base, just field the position at a league average clip, hit 240, put the ball in play, get on base, and run the bases. Isn't that all we're asking of him? Is anyone asking
exactly who I want him to be? Okay.
Who do you want him to be?
I want him, if you remember this guy, I want him to be Johnny Peralta. Nothing crazy.
Oh, Johnny Peralta raked. He's not.
No. I'm talking like later Johnny Peralta, in St. Louis, right?
So destroying lefties, but maybe
like,
slightly below average against righties.
Because to be fair, he only in his career, because he was an older player, right? Like I think he came in later on. But anyway, what I'm saying is, and like, yes, he had some really good seasons. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he had a season where he hit 292, 885 OPS.
Of course.
But like, for the most part, Johnny Peralta didn't crush. You know what I mean? Like, he had, I think, 3 or 4 seasons of over 800 OPS, right? But what Peralta was, in St. Louis was a guy who, you're looking at 330 to 350 on base, hit like 260. I mean, if I could get that out of Anthony Volpe, I'll just completely take the bust label off him because I no longer care. It's like, you know who Anthony Volpe needs to emulate himself after? Alex Smith. Alex Smith was the number 1 overall pick in the same draft Aaron Rodgers went, right? And there were other players as well. Alex Smith is a bust. But do people care? Do people still say he's one of the worst picks ever?
No, because he was reinvented himself. It was good enough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. If you're not worth, I mean, technically Adley Rutschman, right? Number 1 overall pick, didn't really end up being like the best catcher in baseball, but he's still good.
Still good at baseball.
He found his footing, and he's still a coveted player, and so coveted we put up a clip, and you guys sent it to over 3,000 views. So we appreciate you, by the way.
You know who I want him to be?
Yeah.
I want Anthony Volpe, and this is going to sound ugly, but I want everyone to hear this. David Eckstein.
Oh, that's a good one.
I want to shift you over to second base. No one thinks about you. Nobody cares about you, but you're still a professional and you get the job done. It's not going to look good. It's not pretty. You're definitely not. You're not the showcase. You're going to showcases. You're not lighting up the scoreboard. You're not throwing it 100 across the diamond. Like, honestly, if you had to ask, what was David Eckstein great at? We'd sit here all day to think about it. But overall, just the total average of what he can do at the field, he can put the ball in play, right? He can run a little bit.
Yeah.
You can move him around positions. He'll get the job done at those different, those various spots. David Eckstein's, and again, he's not going to be David Eckstein because David Eckstein knew who he was from the very jump. A lot of it had to do with his limitations physically, and that's perfectly fine. Whereas Volpe had more physical tools, and he almost fell into the trap of, I'm a power guy at Yankee Stadium. No, you're not. You're not a power guy. And he, in a way, had to touch the fence and get buzzed off of it for a second to realize, wait a minute, I lost my starting job at shortstop. I'm a utility guy now. I now have to play like a utility player, and he's going to learn very quickly. And maybe he's already learned it at this point. I'm a better baseball player when I play like a utility guy rather than a star player and a cornerstone. I hope that whether it's David Eckstein or fill in the blank utility guy in history for baseball, Volpe knows who he is now in pinstripes.
Yeah, I like that. David Eckstein was a good player. Nothing crazy, but he was, he's part of, like, that's the thing. You have a role player. I don't need you to be anything more than just fill your role. I have the guys to. The Yankees are astronomically better if Volpe is just a role player. Judge can go up and be the Punisher, right? You got Ben Rice. He can be the Punisher. Stanton can be the Punisher, right? Bellinger can be your I have every single club in the bag guy, which he is. And then you have like Caballero who can come in and he can play his role. It's like, then say you go out and now they don't really have that need, everyone's saying, at third base, right? So now you go out at the deadline and you go and you add Adley Rutschman or somebody like Dylan Dingler, who we're going to talk about in this show. I mean, you're looking pretty good. Like that roster looks good. I can live when Trent Grisham is your worst hitter in the lineup. I can totally live with that.
Well, we're going to get to the defense here on Grisham as well. He's not getting away with it. He's not getting away with it. Not on Yankees Unloaded.
I understand this. I don't like Grisham at all. I don't.
You saw that play I saw today, correct?
Yes. But oh boy. You get my point, though.
I do understand your point.
Not going to.
That's a solid group.
Yes, because if I was in charge, Grisham would not be in the lineup. He'd be on my bench.
Well, I was gonna say if I was in charge, there'd probably be a restraining order at Yankee Stadium. He wouldn't be allowed in the vicinity of the field. That's just me.
Yeah.
But I really like this super because it's gonna segue us into what I think we should be talking about, which is hustle and effort. And we're gonna circle back to the Grisham situation. Now, Mr. Clean, thank you for the 5 and all the support of Yankees Unloaded. We really appreciate it. Says, why don't our guys run to first? I did notice that today. So he says, Jazz, Judge, Rice, all jogging to first base today. Maybe that's why teams are so relaxed against us. Cabby, Belly, Hustle, though. So here's one thing in their defense. If you watch majority of Major League Baseball players, and that also includes the Royals, who we played today.
Yeah.
Majority of players on routine ground balls and routine fly balls, they're not running hard. They're not running their hardest. And that's part of the management of wear and tear and keeping your body maintenance throughout the season. Having said that, there's obvious situations where you need to be showing hustle to create pressure on the defense or just in general on the base pass. And some guys just don't have that gene in them, right? You watch Pete Rose play baseball. You watch Bryce Harper early in his career. You watch Cabby, right? Cody Bellinger, who's listed in this super chat here. You see those guys. They're just running all the time. Some guys operate under that idea that I need to protect myself. I need to pace myself throughout this long season. But Jake, the biggest conversation to me in terms of effort, and I rarely ever do we talk about effort of defenders in the outfield or infield. How often do we talk about effort? We've complained about plenty of guys, Austin Wells, Ryan McMahon, Anthony Volpe's defense at shortstop and not being aggressive, Jazz Chisholm at second base. It's pretty much either Jazz or Trent Grisham giving us valet jogs in the outfield. Really? I didn't understand the play. Is there any explanation whatsoever for why in a tie baseball game in innings 7, 8, or 9, you're seeing that type of effort on screen in a big league baseball game from a player who's making north of $20 million a year, who's having a down season offensively? I've really never seen much like this. I don't know what to say. It was not good.
I hated that one play in particular. I'm not saying he would have gotten him, but you have a 40th percentile arm strength. You throw about 82 miles an hour. Bellinger has an 89 to 90 mile an hour arm, right?
Cannon.
Why are you taking that? You know what I'm talking about when they scored on that sac fly?
You're talking about where you did the spin throw. And
why in God's name are you taking that? Let Bellinger get that. He called Bellinger off and then was lackadaisical and was like, and
I think the reason he took that ball was because he was thinking that Bellinger, as the left-handed thrower going into the left center gap, he doesn't really have the angle to turn and throw it. But if you're the one who's making that decision, you probably pre-pitch knew, and Belly knew, ball in the left center gap. I'm taking this ball in center field as a left-handed thrower in center, coming that direction. Why are you just spinning and popping it into the infield like no one's running anywhere?
No, it's just terrible.
Not enough effort on a baseball field when you're a professional athlete, regardless of sport. It was just.
Is that the one you're talking about?
The sun. It wasn't good.
Was that what you were talking about when he was jogging in the outfield?
No. The play I'm talking about, the play you're saying is valid. Yeah. Nothing really happened in a negative way on the play you're talking about. The play I'm discussing was when the ball drops in and he just lollipops it into second base. A, that ball should have been caught. And B, there was no effort
all the time, Gary,
to get it into second base. Jake, I'm gonna have to send you this play. Did you saw the play I'm talking about?
No, Gary, I'm so used to him just letting that fall that I literally, it didn't even phase me. And I complained about it, and then people said, "Well, would have been a tough play." Yeah,
no,
it would have been a tough play. Are you kidding me? How about actually hustle and it's not? See, you can play this kind of low key. You know how Trent Grisham plays in center field? He plays he plays like watching the NBA, in the regular season when they're just coasting the first quarter. They're not going crazy. It's not the fourth quarter yet, right? They're just jogging around and they're just holding on the ball. They're dribbling it around. They're passing it and then taking it up the court. It's like a jog. It's it looks very casual,
It is
And
a
it's
casual
almost
experience,
kind
yeah.
of like you're flexing on everybody. Like, yeah, we're so good at this. We're not even really trying. Trent Grisham isn't so good at this. Like when I watch him in the outfield, I sit there and I'm like, I don't care if Spencer Jones hit 007, 007. He is a way better outfielder and should be on this team and should be playing center field because Trent Grisham is just not a fun center fielder. And I know
So we
at
can
one
agree
point,
that Grisham is not good enough baseball player to give us. Periodically, he's running around the outfield like he's 04 Robinson Cano. The difference is Robinson Cano's, and you're talking about a historically great baseball player in the pinstripes, a player who probably would have had a plaque if not for obviously the positive steroid test and leaving the team.
yeah.
Robinson Cano at times didn't give us effort, but he's also delivering premium offense, premium defense, right? Turning double plays under
And got
pressure
some
and winning
loud
us a championship.
phone calls from Gary Sheffield Jr.
He sure did. Yeah, I'd rip, dude. I'd rip Robbie. Run to first base, but eventually, as you get older, you realize, hey, he was delivering and getting it done at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let it slide. And you've seen this obviously in covering the NFL. If you watch the way that sports are covered in general, a lot of the all-time great players they can get away with. Oh, he shows up to practice right at the last second.
Holds out of mandatory mini camp.
SGA of Oklahoma City. Yeah, he's jogging back on defense on this play, and everyone lets it slide. You know why? Because he's not one of those role players. Let Dort of Oklahoma City, let a role player, let Josh Hart not run back on defense.
That's a
let
great
him
point,
Cadillac back. Mind you, Jalen Brunson is the face of the Knicks, in my humble opinion. He's the best Knick ever, and that's saying a lot. But if Jalen Brunson jogs back on defense and gives up a transition bucket 4-on-5, no one's going to go, where's Jalen at? But let the role players of the team, the Josh Harts, right? Even players from the past in that organization, the Iman Shumperts, J.R. Smiths, they're not running back on defense. Timeout, come sit down next to me. That's the way the Yankees should be behaving with Trent Grisham. He's not a star on this team. He's a role player. And that doesn't mean he sucks. It means he doesn't understand who he is. And if you watch today, you'd think he was one of our better players on the roster. Run, hustle.
Yeah.
And we just don't get that nearly enough for considering the pressure that it's supposedly to play for the Yankees. It doesn't seem Trent Grisham feels that.
No, he's just not a fun watch. But like, again, my point was that I can't control that, so I'm fine. Whatever. I already waved the white flag. I'm gonna complain about it every now and then, but not every single episode because that'll get old. They love him. They treat him like he was drafted by the Yankees, homegrown and everything. Here's what I see: a guy that checked out with defense as soon as he came to the big market in New York. That's what I see. I see, for whatever reason, his defense fell off a damn cliff when he came to the Bronx. Don't believe me?
Do we have an explanation for why that is? Do you think it was a choice, or do you think this is just something he can't control at this point?
I think it's a choice because, I mean, when does he actually ever really hustle?
Well, I can't recall it. And when I go back and watch the film of how he looked in San Diego, he did, to be fair, it's not like he was running around like Jim Edmonds in center field over in San Diego. He was playing really similar to this. The difference being the jumps in New York are just exceptionally atrocious. I've never seen much like it. Does he not
read the ball well? Well, here's the thing. Like, we had Harrison Bader in center field. That is a great center fielder.
Yeah, we were spoiled with those
routes, right? He would take, like, he would see the ball. He'd get a really good read on it. Mm-hmm. He would never have to be in a position where he has to all of a sudden do a spin and throw. Like, you know what I mean? He's already in a position where he could probably crow hop the ball, right? That's the thing. And it's so funny. You know what's an underrated thing? People love diving catches, right?
Right.
But it's almost like there's sometimes, I watched the other day, I forget who it was, and what team it was, but there was a diving catch, and it was basically a sack fly. And it's like, it felt like he kind of milked the diving catch. You know what I mean? And it's like, to me, you deserve a -2. Like if you know Pro Football Focus PFF, they grade every football play 2, 1, 0, -1, -2. So -2 being the worst, 2 being the best. That's a -2 play. And the reason being that the baseball IQ is literally, it's underground. It's 6 feet under. You're dead. And the reason I say that is because it's a sac fly. I know you're in center field. It's going to be hard to get him out, but you still got to at least attempt that throw, especially with nobody else on base. There's just a dude on third, and he falls down. Like, he literally milks it and then like lays out for the diving grab. He could have easily caught it.
We've all had that kid on our Little League team.
Yeah.
He's just diving for everything. His shades, his $400 sunglasses are just flying off his head. It's like, brother, if you actually had any sprint speed or had any jump on that baseball whatsoever, you're just catching it standing up and you can just lollipop it into the infield because there's nothing to be said. And we're sitting here going, oh, it's an ESPN sliding catch. It's like, no, you made an atrocious read on the ball, bad, and now you have to make up for it by.
I wish I remembered that's a great who fielder.
He left his feet.
Because like I wish I could find it and show it to you. You'll be like, how did he even end up on the ground? How did that end up turning into a diving catch? It's one of those like pop-ups that like he had forever, and then somehow like he jogged in, like he did the NPC, like if you don't control the player and like the computer controls the player and like MLB The Show, and he's just like, and then he dives, and then the guy scores.
They're like running against the wall. Jake, I'm literally going to send you footage of. And I know since we're on the topic and we're obviously going to move on here shortly, of Trent Grisham, we had a postponement, right, just yesterday. I'm going to show you footage from Friday or 2 days ago. I'm going to show you footage from Friday's game where we lost 4-2 of literally Trent Grisham making a poor read. He goes back on the ball. He comes forward and dives and makes a catch. It's just bad baseball. And you'll notice all of these things, if you look up all the defensive analytics, and again, this is where defensive analytics and analytics in general can help us and be used as a tool, your eyes aren't lying to you. If you see the crack of the bat and you see Trent Grisham on screen and the ball is going to a certain position and you see him and you're like, where was he? Where was he on this play? The better players surprise you with how quickly they get to spot. Grisham surprises you with how slow he gets there. And that is not a compliment. I want to get to Ninja Super Chat because this is more so in the positive. I'm definitely glad to be talking something positive about JC Escara because I've mentioned I don't think he's the solution at catcher, but I think he's a better baseball player overall than what's going on with Austin Wells. I just don't think it's very good. All things considered with the framing. Ninja, thank you with the 5. This is a great game for Escara. I know the consensus is that he sucks, but low-key, I have a good feeling about him. At least he has potential to be better than Wells. So mind you, I don't think Escara is good at all. Not at all. I wouldn't go as far to say he absolutely sucks, but I wouldn't go as far to say he's good. I'd say he's not even average. I think he's below average baseball player, and that's okay. It's really hard to be a good big leaguer. But if you're the New York Yankees, it's not good enough to say, well, he's better than horrible, so put him out there. Go get us a catcher. We made a video about Adley Rutschman for a reason. And whether it's him or not, and Jake, you and I have come up with 3, 4, 5 different names that the Yankees could go get, and we'd be jumping up and down like hyenas over any upgraded catcher. But again, to address today's game, JC Escara was awesome. Didn't care about exit velocity, found holes, made an impact with the bat, and he was all over the field. I loved it.
Yeah, and he didn't care about exit velocity, but it doesn't mean he didn't hit the ball hard. 106 off the bat on that one single. It's
and
funny.
Also 35, you said?
Yeah, 35, and in the same game, he hits it 106. Hey,
Duality.
You know what's so funny is I thought that was a terrible decision to let that ball roll. That was never going foul. That was adorable that guy thought it was going foul. Adorable.
Yeah. A for effort, right?
And he's right there. I think he would have gotten him. He let it roll.
Yeah, you're definitely right.
And I don't know.
And I guess the question here, we'll finish this with something productive and forward thinking. Do you think JC Escara plays tomorrow, or do we see Austin Wells, considering he hit the home run a couple days ago? What do you think?
No, it'll probably be Austin Wells, even though they're going against the lefty, and JC Escara is Ted Williams against lefties.
I tried. We tried. Jeff J, Thank you for being a member. We want to put you up on screen. It says, sup, fellas.
What's up, Jeff?
Even though Bregman's spray chart wasn't great for the stadium, what a difference he'd have made. Worried cash wasted Judge's prime. Now, Jake, we did talk about the spray chart while Alex Bregman was a free agent. He doesn't use right field, Yankee Stadium. The advantage is considering players that use right field, and the Yankees even went as far to sign a bunch of right-handed bats that love to use the opposite field. Gleyber Torres, right? Luke Voigt, Gary Sanchez, a lot of those different players, they were teaching to use the short porch and use it to your advantage. But how much do we really care about utilization of stadium dimensions when it comes to baseball players and how good they are? Didn't we just go on and on and on in our chat about the ineffectiveness of Cody Bellinger on the road? What are we sitting here talking about?
You know what's so
he
funny?
Wouldn't be great at Yankee Stadium. We don't care. Is he a good baseball player or is he not? Would he help your team or not? The stadium, and considering where you're playing, I think that's a fool's game, in my opinion. And obviously, Jeff isn't being a fool here. He's just mentioning what the conversation was at the time, and he's right. So, yeah, Jake, hopefully Cashman didn't go away from Bregman. I think it was more so about the money and not about the spray chart or the numbers at Yankee Stadium. But, I'll digress on that.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Look, the thing I find so funny about the short porch, that was at the old Yankee Stadium. We call it that, right? But that was because of the overhanging, like, second deck. Mm-hmm. It's actually not even really a short porch. It's just like the wall is shorter than most other walls.
Not really. I mean, do we call Fenway's Green Monster a short porch? I mean, not really. We call it a monster. It's 300 feet away.
Yeah.
It's not far at all. You can just play. They call it playing pepper, or you play pepper against the wall. They never mention how close it is. And no one complains about it. But obviously, I understand the nature of trolling in sports. But when you're making decisions with rosters, you're not going to bring Alex Bregman to the team because he pulls the ball often. I didn't get that.
I don't know. That's stupid as hell. But then again, they thought Tatsuya Mai had bad stuff. They didn't like his stuff. So,
well, at least he ended up being not so great. So,
yeah. I mean, maybe it's just the Astros because no one could pitch there all of a sudden. Something's in the water.
Something is in the water. Ty Webb, thank you for the 5. Says, hit the ball as hard as you want, but it's not unlucky when you hit it to the same part of the field 80% of the time, and the defense knows where to play. To Ty's point, you can play a pull shift. They say that the shift's banned. No, it isn't. You just can't play to the right or left of the base on the side of the field that you're playing on. You can still shade guys. You can still anticipate the ball being hit over a certain shoulder as opposed to the next. Pulling the ball every single at bat has its advantages and disadvantages. And I'll tell you right now, Ty, you can hit the ball 115 consistently. And if you're going to continue to just hit the ball on the ground hard, you're going to be out. If you're going to continue to hit the ball way up in the air, you're also out. You have to be able to read the defense and understand where are my advantages, and they're playing me to pull. We saw Jazz Chisholm just the other day, dead pull shift. I'm like, my goodness, I would love if he dropped down a bunt. He does the next best thing and slaps the ball to shortstop. Nobody's there. That's not a sexy pickup. He didn't get a barrel. He didn't get analytic credit. Ty Webb was happy to see that knock. I've jumped off my couch seeing the play. We need to worry much less about hard contact. We need to worry about putting balls in play and reading defenses and what they're giving us. The Yankees did that today. Will they do it tomorrow? I'm not going to make a negative prediction, but if they don't, it massively increases the chances that we lose that game.
No, I think that's a fair point, and Ty Webb, appreciate the super there. Yeah, I mean, we see it all the time. Guys take the card out of their pocket. They look at where they're supposed to be. There you go. They know where they need to be. No, it's a really good point. Some of it, you can be unlucky. Say you hit a rocket back at the pitcher and he just goes like that.
Of course.
It's like, okay,
luck
it can happen, but it can't happen 80%. You can't have luck 80% of the time. You know why? Because that, let's just put it this way, casinos would go out of business.
Yeah, eventually, these people would have such a bad turn of luck that it just wouldn't be sustainable.
Yeah.
We would also be able to look at players like Tony Gwynn, Ichiro Suzuki, some of the game's best, like hand-eye coordination off the charts. They're able to say, I'm just going to find the holes. I'm not going to light it up. I'm not hitting the ball 118. We didn't see Ichiro hit a ball 119 his whole career. Tony Gwynn never crushed the ball like that. Never.
When he got a hold of a home run, though, that thing was out in 2 seconds. That thing was a laser.
Sure. When he absolutely gets one, you might get a line drive that goes, you're talking 2 or 3 rows deep, but he's not giving us a Giancarlo Stanton performance where it goes 118, laser in the gap and takes someone's head off. But where the skill set comes is finding grass. It's not just, for 20 years in a row, I managed to be lucky despite low exit velocity. No, it's a skill to find grass. And we just ignore that and pretend as if baseball before the year 2010 didn't exist. No, exit velocity doesn't mean, I hit the ball hard, therefore I must have a better chance. That is not a good way to play baseball. And you can see that the Yankees have at least tried to play the game that way. And they still talk about Grisham and how everything just will turn around. But the expected numbers, even if it went as expected, Jake, those numbers still are not very good. Did you want to take this one from Slim?
Yeah, Slim, appreciate the 5. The most important numbers are wins and losses. Hopefully we see more players looking to make contact like what happened today. Is JC better than Wells? I don't know if JC's better than Wells, but JC's hitting better than Wells right now. And so because there's really not like a drop off between the two, they're like neck and neck. I think you got to go with the one that's more hot at the plate. Because I don't think Wells is that great of a defender where you're like, we're getting Yadier Molina back there. I don't care if he's not hitting. Like, I'll take him over JC Escara. But if Escara is going to hit like that, here's the thing Boone needs to do a better job of. If JC Escara just had 3 knocks, keep him in the lineup. See if he does it again. We're criticizing Escara, and rightfully so. I mean, he's not a great player. We know that. He might be a solid to average player if he played every day. We don't know because he doesn't play every day.
Right.
So it's like, it's literally no different, by the way, with Ahmed Rosario, who I'm not out on, by the way. I saw some people saying, like, what about Ahmed Rosario? I'd be all for if you're rotating Ahmed Rosario and Anthony Volpe and Jazz Chit. Like, I wouldn't mind that at all, right? I just don't think Ryan McMahon deserves to play if he's that bad at the plate. So the point being, right, is that Ahmed Rosario had over an 800 OPS, was one of the best hitters on the team, and then he didn't play for 10 games, Gary. Yep. And what happens? Well, the rhythm you're in, it's really hard to stay into a rhythm when there's no rhythm. A rhythm is like a consistency thing. It's like, he has a 10-game hit streak, but he hasn't played in 20 games. You know what I mean?
We compliment guys in the NBA. They're like, he, for whatever reason, stays ready. Like, he'll be in the corner. We threw him the ball, and he hit a 3. We didn't give him the ball again to the 4th quarter. We might have gone 3 games before he got another shot, and he makes the next one. They rave about it. Yeah. He stays ready. What a professional. That must be a veteran. It's never a young player who does that. And yet the Yankees think JC Escara is going to play for the Yankees, and you're going to throw him out there. He has 3 knocks for you. And then they're going to say, all right, come sit down. Wells is going to play the next 3 days. And then we're going to see a righty, which happens to be the side of the plate actually you don't hit. You're going to come into the game. You haven't swung a baseball bat outside of batting practice in a week and a half. Now do it again. There's no building block anymore. This 3-hit performance disappears. And again, kind of to your point, Jake, and to the point of people in our comment section as well, maybe it's not a conversation of whether or not JC is better than Wells. Maybe it's just a concept of that neither player is good enough to just earn a starting job. Just let one play. And if he has a magical performance, just let him play for 2 more days in a row. And if it goes well, one of those 2 days, it's much better than what it was doing before, where you're just flip-flopping struggling players. Just let JC think that he's on a hot streak right now and see if it works tomorrow, and then just ride the wave. Let it go. I think that situation could be had. Will Boone do that? I'll say this, Jake. He did it with the Volpe and Caballero situation. He saw Cabby got hot. He went back to the well. he continued to go to it to the point where we're like, oh, he's the starter. We see what's actually going on here. I hope he does it at the catcher's position as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something I'm hoping for. I'm not expecting him to play tomorrow, but I hope he does. I think there has to be a focus more on getting consistent lineups. It's like A-Rod said, it's so much easier when you go up there every day and you know who's hitting behind you and you know who's hitting in front of you. It's a strategic element of the game. I mean, everybody on the other team knows it, so you should know it, and you should be comfortable with it. Well, it's no different than like, hey, am I going to play today? Oh, yeah, you'll play 3 days from now. It's like, okay, I'll be ready, or I'll try to be. Guess what that does, by the way? If JC Escara, okay, I don't care where he's hitting, because, by the way, he hit 8th. He hit ahead of Caballero, because you like the Caballero at 9th, and then you go back into the top of the order.
Huge fan of it, yeah.
Except the fact that Trent Grisham's at the top of the order, which, whatever. But the idea of it, it's almost right. JC Escar hit 8th today, okay? Had 3 knocks. The pressure could get to him. The pressure could also be leading him to, maybe have 3 knocks in a game. But do I want tons of pressure on my catcher that really shouldn't have tons of pressure on him? No. But if I'm only playing him every 5 games, guess what he's going to be most likely to do when he comes up to the plate with the bases loaded? He's going to be trying to hit home runs. He's going to be trying to do the macro, the biggest thing possible, and not focus on the micro. And
and Wells does that for sure. I mean, let's be real.
So to me, that's the biggest thing is, like, say what you will, but like, I'm kind of at the point where if the guys are, at the bottom of the lineup and they don't even know if they have a starting job and they don't even know when their next game is going to be, you're kind of putting them at a disadvantage, which is thus putting your team at a disadvantage. And I'm seeing that, I think, more and more. I think it's affected Wells. I think it affects Escara. I think we started to see it affect Rosario. So it goes back to the whole thing. Good problem to have? No, it's not a good problem to have. It's not.
It's a problem.
Because when you have, your Duke Ellis's of the world and they're your bench guys, they know they're the bench guys. They know there's no chance, none, that they're going to get in there and have any opportunity to start. And that's okay. They signed up for that. It's like I just did a video on DeAndre Hopkins and why I think he'd be a good fit for the Rams. I think he'd be a good fit for any, team that's trying to win a Super Bowl. You know why? Because DeAndre Hopkins, who was once an all-pro wide receiver, knows where he is at this point in his career. He's not number 1. He's not number 2. He's probably not even a number 3 receiver. He just wants to catch on with a good quarterback, a good offensive coordinator, and a team that's ready to win a Super Bowl because he's at the end of his career. He knows his role. He's not going to freak out about targets and what have you. That's the thing. When you have guys that don't know their role because there's so much, lack of clarity in the lineup, when you have Ryan McMahon as your third baseman, now Rosario definitely feels like, hey, I could crack that lineup. And then it's like all of a sudden, in a way,
this
I'm
is
hitting.
Like not even a lack of role. It's they didn't even.
Yeah,
they almost didn't even define a role. Like there's not even one to even be speaking of.
No. So do you see
you're
what
gonna
I'm
go
saying?
play tomorrow, and it could go really well. Like you can hit 3 homers tomorrow, and Wells is our guy, even though he's playing horrendously. So, well, why? We don't really know. Just that's what it's going to be. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're asking of JC, who, by the way, he's not 34. This isn't some veteran we brought in here to just come in and catch and get Wells, off his feet. That's not what we did here. We have 2 young players. Austin Wells is young. Escar is young. These are 2 guys that they're playing for the Yankees, guys. They want to be the starting catcher. I don't care what anyone tells you. They're happy for each other. You see them jumping off the bench when the other does something. But I'm here to tell you right now, nobody likes doing anything if they don't think there's any gratification in it down the road. You're not going to, what am I doing this for? Is there any reason that I should go do this at this level? And right now, Jake, it doesn't feel like that opportunity is available to JC. And I wanted to bring up something in the live chat, and I wanted to know what you thought about this, Jake, because I think it actually brings up a pretty good point, and then I'll get him Till back up there. So Junk says tomorrow's a night game, followed by a day game, hoping they allow Scar to go again. There's definitely an opportunity that scheduling forces an opportunistic situation for the Yankees in this series. I hope it does, because in a way it would really show us if JC plays well and gets the start tomorrow and he builds off this game, don't we have our answer of what should happen? You should just play the high hand.
Yeah. When you get to that point, when there's not a clear-cut starter, it should always be like an evaluation process. Every position should be the best teams in sports typically view the guys that are can't miss. They have the starting job. Everything else is up for interpretation and evaluation.
Third base.
Because guess what?
Sure.
Guys fall off cliffs. They just do.
Yeah.
Did anyone think Chris Davis was just going to fall off a cliff?
Oh, no. God, no.
Did anyone think Josh Hamilton was just going to fall off a cliff? No. Right? What about Zach Gallen? Like, guys just fall off the face of the earth. It happens. And so, you know how you stay ahead of that? You have the mentality of guys that give me no choice but to start them, they stay. Guys that don't really show me enough where it's like, man, I got to keep this guy in the lineup. It's all up for evaluation. That position group is wide open. And so I think, competition is everything, because, if you don't have competition, well, you get Ticketmaster Live Nation, right? that's
you
what
also get Madden and NBA 2K.
Yeah.
Right. The best 2Ks in history, it just so happens you go back in time and NBA Live existed. Now, if you liked NBA Live or not, that's not important. Doesn't matter which game was better. What matters is that NBA 2K says they can go a different direction. So we have to put forward our best product. Same goes in professional sports. If you're just kind of the guy and you're not really that good, you're not going to get the best out of that guy. Kidding me? There's no competition. You can just, shoot, Jake, you tell people that, hey, we're not grading this test. We're just going to take the test. You think people are going to study for it?
Yeah.
Of course not. There's nothing. It's a practice. It means nothing. There's nothing to lose or gain by playing in that game that day. So yeah, Him Till says, love the approach from Jazzy. Thank you for the 5.
Thank
says
you,
not swinging for the fences. Big hit today. We noticed late inning hits, elite base running, advancing to second base, which we saw. Elite defense at second base. I love Jazz. Interesting. So Jake, you're definitely higher on Jazz than I am. I can't ignore he's just playing way better baseball. The overall stats tell that story. My big problem with inking a deal long-term with Jazz, he's not consistent enough. His effort's not consistent enough. What we're asking him to do, it seems like we have to beg him to realize the style of player that he really is, which is more of a contact guy and not a, pure power bat, the way that he seems to like to play, and just sort of waiting for the summer months to hit. But as of late, to Him Till's point, Jazz has been really good, and it just so happens that every time Jazz plays well, the Yankees win. So I hope he continues this.
Yeah, no, I hope so too, because when Jazz is hitting, this is a much better team. Gives you a little bit of a run producer, but also like a chess piece there on the base paths, a guy that creates situations where you're not just playing station to station. No one wants a station-to-station baseball team. We saw that in 2023. It is absolutely brutal. We saw it in 2024. The station-to-station
When was the last time we saw a World
stuff,
Series winner, by the way, be station-to-station? Do you remember that year?
No.
Because, you're talking back-to-back Dodgers seasons. They still were running the bases hard, right? Yeah. Still finding ways to steal bags with
Texas
players
Rangers,
that in a way surprise
absolutely
us.
not.
Right.
Okay. I don't know why after that I forget who won the World Series. It's like, dude,
it's fair, because if it's not your team, why would it be at the front of your mind?
But to your point, it's a great example of station to station winning you a World Series? Kansas City Royals. You tell me that team, Alex Gordon, right? Like, you tell me that team wasn't station to station. Gerard Dyson, those guys had to. No, they were not station to station. Excuse me. They had to be able to run the bases the way they did.
Yeah.
That's how
Same
they beat
with the Giants.
Mets. They dominated.
Won 3 championships. Yeah.
Giants, same thing, right? But yeah, that's what it's kind of all about. It's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I really like seeing that style of baseball, and I like that Anthony Volpe when it started to go away, because you saw it when Caballero went down, they went away from it, and then Anthony Volpe comes in, and all of a sudden he's kind of adding some juice, and it's like it's so funny because me last year I'd be like, Anthony Volpe is still on this team, and you want him to be in the lineup. What did I miss? Because like last year I was
reach to the
so
screen and punch yourself.
yeah,
If you
like
heard the type of things we were saying.
last year, are you kidding me? I thought it was the end of Anthony Volpe. But you know what? I wasn't rooting against him. I just felt like the injury, Caballero completely took it over. And he still has. He has a chokehold on shortstop. But, or at least, yeah, I would still say shortstop. But like that's the thing is like, it's baseball. Anything can happen. Steven Strasburg was the best pitcher in the league. Then he got hurt. That's all he's known for now. Is just he just got hurt a lot. That's the way it is. Spencer Strider. Remember, everyone was talking about him. He might be one of the best, if not the best pitcher in the league. He gets hurt, right?
All that weightlifting, and he just cannot stay on the field. It's a bummer, of course, but that's part of skill is staying healthy. Are you available? If you're not, I can't rely on you as a consistent asset. Just can't. Ed W., thank you for the 20. Love to see some pumpkins up on the screen. Don't see that every day. Ed, again, thank you. Says, wanted to weigh in agreeing that expected analytics are being misused to mask and justify failure. But I do believe in WAR in the sense that it measures results in a granular way so I can compare one player value to a free scrub.
I think that's fair.
It's fair. Of course, you're not just going to be like, well, his WAR is 1.7 and his WAR is 1.4, therefore 1.7 is the better fit for the team. And now, of course, Ed's not saying that. That would be more of a projection onto him. But a lot of folks use analytics in this way, and that's a problem. You have to be able to look at these numbers and say, I'm not using analytics to magnify my original position. I'm using analytics to steer me in a direction, and then my eyes are going to lead me to whether or not this is the truth or if this is just noise. And a lot of times analytics can just be noise. We hear that Trent Grisham, his expected numbers, he should be hitting 225. Well, I don't remember, Jake, the last time that you and I looked at the standings and it said should have been standings. Do you remember last year when Michael K says, well, if plus minus went the way it traditionally does, the Yankees should be here and the Jays should be here. That comment didn't, as high as we are on Michael K, that comment didn't land very well.
No, it didn't.
Because as much as we defend majority of what Michael K has to say, nobody cares what's expected. People care what is, and that's sports. And he understands that really, at its surface, he gets that. But when we talk about expected analytics, nobody wants to hear about expected analytics. You know why? Because we play 162 games in this sport. This isn't golf where you only had 3 days for a tournament and somebody may have hit a ball to the flag stick and hit off the stick and it bounces into a bunker and you go, man, that's bad luck. But there's not a large enough sample size to save you. In this sport, there's a bigger sample size than any other game in the world. I don't want to hear about unluckiness. I don't want to hear about luck. I want to hear about statistics that impacted winning. And to Ed's point, a lot of people are abusing these expected numbers just to lead us all down this well of come to the same conclusion that we're off to, which is that this player might be performing poorly, but if things went the way that they should have, and he was just a little bit more lucky, this decision would look a lot more opportunistic to you. I don't subscribe, Jake. I'm out. Unsubscribe me from the expected analytics group.
No, I hear you. I mean, it's cool to have that, but I mean, also that's kind of why I take EPA with a grain of salt on the NFL side of things, because it's like expected points added. Points added. I haven't heard that. I've mentioned it before. where you grade a play based on what the player was supposed to do. So like if he did everything correctly, but the play was terrible, it was an interception, it picked six the other way, but the left tackle was unbelievable or whatever it is, right?
Right.
So he got the highest expected points added for that play. So it doesn't take away from what he did, right?
Okay.
And I guess it makes more sense because you're talking about 11 on 11 and where you have everybody who's kind of stationary before the ball's hit, you know? And not everybody is going to be a part of a play. It's just not, I don't think it's possible in baseball.
Right. Yeah, and technically no stat can really indicate perfectly what's shown on the game, right? So hits, there is some element of luck, maybe a few hits here and there, sure.
But I think
maybe the power game, it's different.
We use these analytics, I think, to shrink the picture a little bit. And I just think when you do that, so like for instance, especially in the NFL when they do like the expected rushing yards, right? It's like now we're penalizing a guy based on what the analytics, what Amazon Web Services or whatever it is said that he was supposed, next gen stats, they said he was supposed to get. It's like, I think that's a little ridiculous, right? To be like, yeah, he was supposed to get 30 rushing yards on that play, but he only got 15. That's a negative play. It's like, I don't know if I agree with that. It's the same thing where you're going to penalize a player. This is why I hate WRC plus. You're going to penalize a player because he hit a pesky pole home run and didn't hit like, light tower power, 480, right? It's like, that seems a little ridiculous. And why? How is that done? I'm sure some people are wondering how that's done. Well, he didn't hit it as far. So because he hit a home run at the pesky pole, that's not a home run anywhere else. So it's like, that's really what it comes down to. Whereas they did that.
Yeah, they did that to Jazz Chisholm. Yeah, they do that to Jazz.
Yeah.
And then
the 480 home run is a home run everywhere. So like that, the weight behind that would be really high because that's a home run everywhere.
Whereas you just become more valuable. Yeah.
It actually ends up being a negative. And that's to me, nonsense. When you are altering the game with your analytics, you're actually not painting the correct picture. You're not even painting a picture at all. You're taking the picture and you're just throwing black paint on it and saying, hey, look at how crazy, cool this painting is.
It's just kind of like, look at how smart I can bring up some underlining thing. Like everyone now is talking about like underlying statistics because it's like this new way of flexing your muscles of, look, I have a deeper dive into the game. It's not that. I do want to bring something up to address it because, again, not everybody has to agree with every word that comes out of Jake and I's mouth. This is the reality of sports. It's the duality of man. We all have opinions and we accept all in here. And now here, I want to bring up a few, just two, chats out of our live chat and address them. So Sanji says, completely throwing out under the hood stats is stupid. And then I want to retrace our steps because obviously we're not completely throwing out underlying stats. And to prove it, we'll go back to what Ed said, which Jake and I both agreed with entirely. Let's check what he said. He says, wanted to weigh in agreeing that expected analytics are being, and here's the key word, misused. Meaning Ed believes, I believe, and Jake believes that expected numbers are to be used, just not in the fashion that they're currently being used. That's what misuse means. So when you're misusing something, other people have the right to want to use them differently. And if your justification for a baseball player being in the position that he's in is just simply, well, the expected numbers say this, therefore that must be the player that he really is. That's not baseball. That's just memorizing statistics and then just talking as if it's baseball. It's just simply not. And mind you, another thing, and I see this a lot, this has been an argument that's been made about Ben Rice often, Jake, often. And we talked about these numbers in the same way that Sanji is saying here. He says Ben Rice was good, but nothing special last year, but he had one of the most statistically unlucky seasons. Every now, And then now you look at him this year, where he's obviously a great player. His ops is over 1,000. He's an elite bat in the game. Jake, what did I tell you last year that Ben Rice has to do? Yes, hitting the ball hard is an indication that things can improve, but it doesn't mean it will improve. And the one thing I asked of Ben Rice, guys are starting to shade you to the pull side. Guys are starting to realize that you're a pull hitter. What did he do this year that was a little different? He started using the opposite field. He also started, Jake, seeing at bats consistently against left-handed pitching, and people just chalk up his progression to just a better stroke of luck. Oh, the luck turned around.
Yes.
That must be the reason he's performing better. That's not baseball. Those aren't baseball opinions. Those are just analytics being the driving force of your decision-making. And that is just honestly an inappropriate way to use analytics. Analytics should be used, Jake. Final thing I'll say, but that is an abuse of what those are supposed to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's definitely a fair way to put it. And just at the end of the day, that's not what any tool is supposed to be for. Just because you have GPS, you still know how to you still need to know how to drive the car.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you have the analytics, just because you have a spreadsheet, you still have to know the game of baseball. And I think there are too many people, and I'm not trying to discourage people from getting into the sport. That's not what I'm trying to do. But there's too many people out there who are looking at a spreadsheet and not watching the games. And it does not take long to pick them out of a crowd.
Hey, we have Knicks fans in here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard what Josh Hart had to say this week about analytics. And again, I'm not trying to throw up an alley-oop to Josh Hart, because analytics, again, has a place in baseball. It just doesn't have a front seat.
Yeah.
You're in the back seat, brother. Here's what Josh Hart actually had to say. And again, don't get mad at me. I'm just delivering the quotes. He says, "I'm never a huge analytics guy. At a certain point, they're a lamppost to a drunk person. You can lean on them, but it won't get you home. So at a certain point, you got to have some feel for the game."
Totally agree.
Feel for the game. Ben Rice is a better baseball player this year because those of us who have more feel for the game as opposed to just a driving force of analytics, we realize that there's more at work than just a better stroke of luck. We know that. That's a fact. And Aaron Boone would tell you that. Even people who believe in analytics at the top of this organization would agree with us on that statement. And yet some people are like, see, Ben Rice was unlucky last year. Better turn of luck. He's a great player now. So Grisham, if he's back next year, he'll just be a 250 hitter because his expected numbers last year were this. That's not baseball. That is just... Jake, what would you even call that, by the way?
I mean, I'm trying not to use Moneyball here, but I would say this. You are essentially making a game within a game. That's what I would say.
I would agree with
that. You already have baseball, but now you're trying to turn it into something else. And it's so funny to me because it also represents take culture, which we've had off air, Gary. We've had a million conversations about take culture. And for those of you who don't know what take culture is, I'm jealous of you. Full stop. I'm just jealous, right? but really what it is that since social media has just had this absolute ascension into our everyday life, and mainly Twitter, it's become our, what do they call it? Not a marketplace. It's when you have that cul-de-sac in the middle of a city. It's like it's become
town square.
Town square, yes.
Yeah.
So
town square.
It's become the town square of people. People wake up, they don't grab the coffee, they don't get in my case, the water with the Celtic salt. You know what they do? They pick up the phone and they look at what the news is going on, and they don't look at news stations anymore. They look at Twitter. They look at social media, right? And so that is how prevalent social media has become for people. And for the people that have dodged this, again, I'm really freaking jealous of you. But let's call it like it is. This is take culture, Gary. Just like how the big selling point back during COVID when people got back into sports cards, like reckless abandon. I'm not talking about like old school sports cards, dealers and whatnot. I'm talking about the new, like our generation. They got into them because they're like, wait, you mean to tell me that I believe this guy is going to be a star? I can get his rookie card, hang on to it, and I'll make a lot of money because I'm definitely going to be right because my take is right. Sick. Sign me up. So that was a big thing, right? But here's the thing. With social media, everyone's quote tweeting everyone under the sun when they disagree with a take that they have. Or I don't like saying, I'm over the word take, so let's just say an opinion. So they have an opinion. What the game within the game, and the reason why I brought this up is because I think people now have found it so it's kind of hard to differentiate yourself from the pack when it comes to baseball, because we all get really irritated when a certain player strikes out a bunch, and we all love the player that's making contact. But the way to differentiate it for people that actually care more about being right than their team actually having success is now they've found that we have this game within a game, which is the analytic crowd, who only use it and can be the first person to make a YouTube short or whatever on post whatever little vertical video on Twitter.
Do those do well, by the way?
Instagram reel, they do decent. The TikToks, right? And it's the first person who can say Woba, first person who can say Sierra, the first person who can say Waffle, the first person who can say all of that. And my entire point is that basically they don't really care about how it affects the game or not. It's all about being right. And so they want to be the first.
Have the correct answer to the test. And you don't arrive at the same conclusion. You're just a moron
Bingo.
who is rejecting statistics. You can't argue with math. And therefore, how can you argue with us? They can't even conceptualize that there's supposed to be a dialogue. They'll just say, yada, 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 this number, yada, yada, therefore this.
Yes.
That's not baseball. That is, look at me, I know it. You're uninformed. You don't get it. And by the way, that's why we started this podcast, is that's the opposite of what we want to be. We're willing to use the analytics. And if you watch previous shows, we've discussed analytics, but never has analytics, Jake, been the forefront of something that you've brought up and said, yeah, that's the reason why this is correct. I know for a fact, I could speak for myself, I've never led with analytics as far as how I arrived at a conclusion, because conclusions is just my take. Nothing I've ever said about baseball is a definitive fact. This is sports. Tomorrow, Austin Wells can get the start and he can hit 3 home runs, and it can make my take that JC Escarra should build off this 3-hit game look bad in the moment. It could look bad. Oh, well, I guess that Wells and JC obviously should just timeshare, right? It makes that conclusion seem obvious in hindsight. But the point is, it's sports. There's no way for us to quantify exactly the way things will be in the future or what it's been. It's really unpredictable, and sports is probably the most unpredictable thing to figure out. Jake, I mean, we've been trying to talk and figure out baseball for 3 years now, covering this Yankees team. We can't figure it out. No day will we figure it out. Just like golf, you will never. You think you figured something out, the next day you won't. There are no right answers. So,
it's so true.
Ed W, thank you for the 5. Says comparing
you,
Rice and Peraza's WAR proves misunderstanding of WAR. Replacements at first base and DH are higher, and Rice is a shitty defender. Apples, oranges, unhelpful. I feel like Rice has been somewhat of a better defensive player than we're probably giving him credit for. He's not bad.
He is a negative defender this year.
How exactly, where is that defensively? Because I feel like he's definitely made some strides. He's definitely not great. Let me just be honest.
Yeah, no, he's where is he? He's -1
DRS
for fielding
here?
Run value.
Negative what?
-1. So it's below average for fielding run value.
And we can get away with below average if we get what? Jake,
like
did we
Goldie
always
is
say?
14th, and Ben Rice is.
So Ed, you're using defensive run saves. Okay, thank you. He's using, so Ed brings up that his defensive run saved is -6, right?
Okay.
So
yeah, no, I mean that's absolutely fair too. Yeah, he's 47th in fielding run value. He's tied with a bunch of guys who have a -1. Bryce Harper actually has a -6, which is the
and
worst.
Is Bryce Harper's offensive stats look anything like Ben Rice's?
No, they do not.
So that's where we just say we don't care about the defense. And Jake, you've drew the conclusion we don't care about the defense so long.
I mean,
as the bat
he's
is
still
coming to
having
the
a
yard.
solid year. He has almost 900 OPS. It's Bryce Harper, but it's not
Ben Rice.
Not the year Ben Rice is having.
Although
Ben
Harper.
Rice, it's funny. Ben Rice, since the offense just went into the ice age, Ben Rice has dropped off. Like he's now hitting 276 and he has a 978 OPS.
I think what did I say he was going to hit? I said 280?
I think you said 280.
Yeah.
I think I went with 38 homers. I don't think he's going to get to 40.
No, he won't. He's more of a contact guy.
Yeah. So I think he'll still get like 38. But here's the thing. I don't give a shit about home runs. When it comes to Ben Rice and that compact swing, just put it in play. Just keep doing your thing because, man, it is fun to watch when he is on. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait, by the way. The greatest example of what we just said, and Ed, we really do appreciate you. You're the man. The greatest example of what we just said, by the way, with that whole spiel about analytics and people wanting to be right, there is going to be a video done by analytic people on Adley Rutschman. And watch how that is portrayed. That'll tell you all you need to know.
How do you think they'll portray it?
About it, we said straight up, we went the splits route. Hey, he's dominant against Toronto. He's seen Toronto a ton. He's seen him this year. He's also very even keel. He's a switch hitter who's pretty much what you see is what you get against lefties and righties.
Long-term results.
Yeah, and he's a bust in the the effect that he was the number 1 overall pick and everyone thought he was going to be the number 1 catcher in the league, but he's still a really good player. They're going to talk about WRC plus. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say his WAR is this, his WRC plus is this, and that's why the Yankees should go out and get him because Austin Wells has this WRC plus. And dude, you don't need to go that deep. When Austin Wells has like an OPS in the 500s, you don't need to go crazy with the whole, his WRC plus. Dude, also, think about this. You're trying to be more digestible because here's the thing. We love our audience and we know our audience is really, really knowledgeable. That's evident. We see the super chats. We see the regular chats. We know you guys are really knowledgeable. But I have to assume if I'm making one of those clips, those shorts, and we're putting it out to into the ether, not everybody is as knowledgeable as our audience. And I mean no disrespect, but that's just the reality of it. Not everybody.
I mean it disrespectfully. They are not.
Yeah. So not everybody, right, Gary? Not everybody follows the Yankees like this. There's a lot of casual Yankee fans out there, which is totally fine. Right. We're here for those people too. So, what is a better way to introduce your ideology, your rationale, whatever? Is it easier to be like, hey, this is this and this is this, or start using certain analytical data that some diehard baseball fans don't even know?
Yeah, I feel like in general, it's tough. People do want to feel like they're being led to the water, like to the correct answer. And it feels good to show up to, hey, this is the information. This is how you should digest that information. And when you go forward, you now know that, you might look up at the screen and feel like that Grish or Ben Rice last year, some of these guys, the hits aren't falling. You're not getting the results, but your eyes don't even tell you the story. So don't even trust those. This is what the truth is. A lot of people gravitate to that. And that's okay. But you're not going to come to our show and think that we now suddenly have to not just hear the information, we have to utilize it in the same way that you're willing to utilize it. We're just not going to do that. Izzy with the 5, and he brings up a reason why he believes that Ben Rice is having success. I don't agree, but I appreciate that, obviously the conclusion, we do have an agreement there, and that's okay. So he says,
Yeah.
again, thank you for the 5. Says, to me, Rice's success is in his improved hands. They're stronger and quicker. I have noticed that difference, by the way, Jake, to his point.
Absolutely.
Giving him much more back control, have noticed the increased back control, hence solving his perceived unluckiness. Now, I don't believe that the difference between Ben Rice this year as opposed to last year has much to do, and it definitely has some difference to do with strength. Some of those balls last year, the balls were just dying at the wall. This year, it feels like they're carrying into the seats. That's a big difference. But Jake, a point that you brought up, and it's your best point you've ever brought up as far as Yankees Unloaded goes, is that majority of your hits aren't homers. Majority of your hits in baseball have nothing to do with brute strength, have nothing to do with it. Majority of your hits aren't barrels. They're just going to be some serve line drive into the outfield. It lands can of corn in front of the outfielder. He's going to pick it up and toss it back to the cutoff man. Next hitter. That's the majority of hits in this game. Ground balls through the infield at 85 miles an hour. That's the average situation that we see. Ben Rice, in my opinion, is just showing better back control, which Izzy you bring up there, and hitting it where they ain't. This is the whole concept of why Tony Gwynn and Ichiro were great players. Pete Rose, they just found holes, and I think Ben Rice just, as far as skill, improved his skill in finding ways to really find outfield grass. That's a talent. I know that sounds like it's not, you can't quantify it, but guys just find ability to hit the ball. If a fielder's going to stand at second base, are you going to clap your hands that he hits it hard directly at the fielder? It's not the job, it's not the task at hand. So yeah, Izzy, have the same conclusion as you. It's not perceived unluckiness, but yeah, I just want to give Ben Rice more credit as far as just reading defense and hitting it where they ain't.
No, I absolutely think that's fair, and I think it goes along the lines of I think he's more of a contact hitter than giving credit for, which we both agree on, But really appreciate you, Izzy. Slim back at it with the broccoli. So
where'd
what's
this
up
super
with
chat come
Peraza?
from?
Is it just change of scenery? Are the Yankees coaches horrible? Kind of bizarre that he's playing so much better right now. Yeah, so this is one of those things where I just think Peraza was ruined by a combination. Okay. Peraza came up, hit 300 plus 300 his first year, looked good in the postseason. Nothing looked too big for him. Then he got sent down. Then it became the Anthony Volpe show. So it kind of goes to show you, it sends mixed messages here. I'm good enough to be on the postseason roster, but then I'm not good enough to be on the actual roster the next year. And Anthony Volpe, who is behind me, is now ahead of me.
Seems unfair.
So, yeah. And so then he waited for his shot. He didn't really get it until last year. And, the problem is, I think Cashman has a lot to do with, kind of killing his confidence. But I also think that Rousen has done kind of a poor job of developing these hitters. And you can say what you will about Rice and give him credit if you want, and that's totally fine. But I would say let's look at the overall scope of this. If we're giving him credit for Rice, what else does he get credit for? Does he get credit for Cabby? I don't know.
No.
I don't think so. Does he get credit for Volpe? Like blame? Does he get blamed for Volpe? Does he get blamed for Wells? Yes, right? He absolutely gets blamed for Wells. More often than not, there haven't been a bunch of hitters that have been developed while this guy's been the hitting coach.
More negative than positive, yeah.
Yeah, so I just don't feel like it's all Peraza. I feel like he deserves some blame, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a reminder, and this is also why I'm somewhat against the minor leagues in a way. I know why they're necessary, but I think babying your top prospects until they're 25, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I really do.
They make it seem like development can only happen in the minor leagues. They're like, well, let's send them down there to really finish off cooking in the oven, and then we'll,
and maybe that's the case, Gary, but guess what?
Development happens at the big league level.
That means your hitting coach sucks. There you go. So you might be right. And we've talked about this potential that, there's a chance they're developing more in AA and AAA. Then your hitting coach shouldn't be the hitting coach. It's that simple.
Yeah, I would agree with you. If the scales are tipping one direction or the other, that should be your decision right there. It shouldn't be in a this deep opinion of how liked somebody is.
Yeah.
If majority of guys aren't working in terms of young players' development, there's a problem, and you need to identify, is it the talent or is it something even much deeper than that? It's the guy who's in the room around the talent. Is he polluting that? I honestly don't have an answer for you. I don't have a definitive answer as far as what happened with Peraza. His stride's different. The load's different. Where he puts his hands is different. And whether or not he would have arrived at that situation playing for the Yankees, I'd say more than likely not. I think he probably would have just been standing next to his old hitting coach, and they would have just continued to beat the drum and make it seem like this was a Peraza problem and not something that they could come together and come to a solution. Peraza went to Anaheim, got in the room with somebody who can help him figure out how to get back to himself of what he was his rookie year. They found that. So good for them. I don't believe it would have worked if he stayed here anywho because of who's in our room. And that should tell you what my answer is as far as how good those people are in our room right now. But we'll save that conversation for another day since we won today. But Jake, did you want to talk about some of those trades, or did you want to get into Prize Picks, or where else do you want to go?
Yeah, no, I want to talk about, Dingler a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because, I think you guys, we'll give you guys the power if you want to name this this segment in our show, because we're going to try and do this every single show if we can. We're going to try and highlight a player that could be added at the trade deadline by the New York Yankees. And we're going to talk and kind of break down why that player makes any sense, maybe why he doesn't, because we want to be fair on both sides. And maybe like what that would take, like who you would have to give up. So we highlighted our first in this series. We highlighted Adley Rutschman, and we clipped that. We'll clip this. So tonight we are highlighting Dylan Dingler. As you can see there, that is his Savant page. Now, of course, we did break up with Savant being the Bible. It's definitely not. But
we still use analytics.
We still use it as a tool. Okay. So as you can see here, he's one of the best fielding catchers in the league. He also has an 85th percentile batting run value as a hitting catcher. The base running's not amazing. My catcher, is he going to be an amazing base runner? Probably not. Then you look at these right here, the X WOBA, the X batting average, the X slugging. That's pretty good. We don't really care. I don't want to say we don't care, but we're not going to put all our stock in that. This stuff is good. He hits the ball hard, sweet spots there, average exit velo. But of course, you look at Cody Bellinger. Does average exit velo really matter at the end of the day? Not really. This right here, the whiff rate is pretty good. The K rate, he's above average. Not walking a ton. Then you get down to this catching right here.
I'm salivating at this section. Are you kidding me?
And this is time? Like,
come on.
See, like he's going to be an actual weapon at throwing guys out. That pop time is insane. So
who do we need to beat again, Jake, in the postseason? More than likely here. What's the one team if you had to circle them?
The Rays.
The Rays. What do the Rays do better than any team in baseball? Again,
they steal a lot.
They steal bags. Chandler Simpson is deadly. What do you think he's going to be trying to do in the postseason? You can't put all the blame on your arms for not controlling the running game. Your catcher also has to do that. It's not all about framing. Bring a guy in, and he's red hot in the framing as well, past 90th percentile. But again, we're not bringing up Dylan Dingler because Detroit is just going to throw away this player as if he's nothing. This is going to take a heavy package. Players aren't given away in their mid to late 20s for nothing. There has to be a reason why a team would give up a player like this who's just in year 3 of his baseball career as far as control. This player comes with control, and that is because the Detroit Tigers are not a good ball club right now. And not only that, they're not slated to get any better next year. They're going the wrong direction, and arguably the best arm in the game from the left side is hurt and expected to some level to be traded at the deadline. So if you're asking why a Tarek Skubal in that situation, does it impact a Dingler free agency or trade market? Of course it does. Absolutely. Players aren't just given away because GMs are like, oh, you want Juan Soto, we don't want Juan Soto on our team. No, the San Diego Padres had a unique situation where they didn't want to pay what it would cost the following year. So they got back value and got Michael King from us. Made a lot of sense. In this situation, Jake, this is an opportunity, rare situation where a player could become available who's actually elite on both sides. We don't usually see that. There's usually some type of sacrifice at the catcher's position. I love this. Just as from a catcher's perspective, I mean, I'm all over this if I'm the Yankees or any contender.
Yeah, I mean, you look, he had 278 last year. We're talking about an OPS in the 750, 777 range, right? I mean, this guy isn't going to wow you as like, he doesn't have amazing power or anything. He's a role player. It's like, just think about this, right? Think about it from the perspective of, oh, yeah, by the way, Austin Wells, who's hitting like what, 170 or whatever, it's in 170.
Yep.
His OPS is in the 500s. You just copy and paste over him, Dylan Dingler, and your lineup is so much better. He doesn't need to be a superstar. And I'm not sitting here and saying that he's the best option. I think Adley's a better option. I just do. I think he's a better hitter. But if the Yankees are going to prioritize a player who, one, is probably more available to them because there's still a chance that the Orioles are going to be like, oh, screw you, beat Rock. We're not trading you Adley. We don't want, because here's the thing. People get so caught up in the rivalry. It's not about that. It's about if I trade Adley Rutschman, who's the number 1 overall pick, to the New York Yankees, and he ends up being a superstar, I'm getting fired. Simple as that. The owner is firing me dead to rights. So that
we saw that happen with Luka and the Lakers.
Yeah.
Oh no, we'll land on our feet. It'll all work out. You send him to the Lakers. That's a big stage. You don't send somebody to the Knicks, Lakers, Celtics, take your pick, Golden State, and then be like, I hope that doesn't backfire on me. It's like, no, go send him to Charlotte, where it takes a
100%.
diehard fan to watch that.
And that's the thing. Like with Dingler, he's 27. I think it's pre-arbitration for him. High draft pick in 2020. And he's I think he's a really talented player. I really do. He's only been in the league for 3 years. And that on base, by the way, doesn't really fluctuate too far south. Like some of the on base percentages that we've talked about on our roster, in the mid 2s, just really working just to get into the high 2s. You look at Dingler, he's more of a Jays type at bat of what we saw last year. You look up and down 1 through 9, the batting average doesn't scream off the page. Like 278 is not going to blow you away. 231 is not going to blow you away, but you still see a consistent on base. You see 327, you see 311. The slugging's not going to blow you away. You don't need players that can blow you away. You need players situationally that can be dynamic. And this is the type of guy in an October series, in a division championship series, in a World Series for a contender. These are the type of players that can be an annoyance at the plate. They can drive up a pitch count. They can just spray a ball the other way and then just go field their position and do a job. This is a role player for the Yankees. And that's a good role player. He's not a superstar. No one's going to get him, and he's not going to become a star at their organization. But when you bring in a player like this, Jake, it's going to cost us a hefty price tag. Given this position, you're probably talking about surrendering maybe 1, maybe even 2 of our outfield prospects, maybe, a Dominguez, maybe a player who's been up at the big league level already. Who do you think this would cost, by the way, just to give folks an answer? So we're not just saying we would like this player, but we're not willing to say what it would cost. What would you be comfortable giving up for Dylan Dingler? Well, I think it would cost Legrand. I do.
Okay.
And I understand people are going to push back on that. I like Legrand. Also ERC. I think it actually would cost them ERC. I don't know if the Yankees would be willing to move Legrand. Now, we could be talking a completely different tune if this deal included Skubal. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if the Yankees got to this point where Dingler was like a guarantee they can get this deal done. And then they just say, you know what, we'll part with these players if we get Skubal. I could actually see that. But it would have to
we're trying to help them replenish.
Yes.
If you're going to be getting rid of a starting pitcher. And the exception here, like you have to make the assumption that Tarek Skubal is gone at the end of this year, right?
Yes.
He's
this
one of the
team
game's
is
best starting
21
pitchers.
in 33. So
correct.
They have to make a decision whether or not they want to salvage this season or just basically wave the white flag. I understand how that sounds. That's 54 games played, Gary, out of 162. But they have literally only won 8 out of 29 games on the road. They're 13-12 at home, and they've won 2 of their last 10. Lost 8 of their last 10. It's just not, they're not in a good spot. And so it might just be best to just cut your losses here, try and get some capital, and move on.
Yeah, by the way, I do see this from Ed, and he says that I think that Detroit would want Lombard Jr., Schlittler, LeGrand. I'm here to tell you right now,
no,
Detroit doesn't even have an asset in their entire organization that's worth Cam Schlittler by himself. I'm going to tell you right here, right now, Tarek Skubal is a better pitcher, just by opinion, than Cam Schlittler because of the overall body of work. That said, he's not a more valuable asset because of the lack of control. You're not getting Cam Schlittler. It's not even a conversation. It wouldn't even be a start. They would fart in the phone and hang it up.
You were dying to say that.
Yeah, I was dying to put it out there. Cam Schlittler's not on the table for anybody. He's a cheap asset. He's at the top of our rotation, and the Yankees are a competitive team. We have no reason to exercise trading him. Yeah, technically you can call and be like, hey man, I'd really like Paul Skeens on my team and I'll get you a wet napkin for it. You can ask, but you can also walk into Lamborghini and offer him $90K for a new Murcielago. They're going to tell you no every time. I can guarantee you. So
but here's the thing
not happening
with Dingler, right? I think they would consider giving him up for the right price. If the Yankees come out and they're like, hey, we'll give you ERC, we'll give you Spencer Jones, and we'll throw like Ben Hess in there, I think this deal's done. Like, I think he is a Yankee. You just got 2 pitchers, one guy that is probably major league ready or getting there, and then Ben Hess, who's probably a year or 2 away. And you got Spencer Jones, who now you have somebody that maybe you can kind of, mold into one of your future pieces to go with Riley Green, right? And I understand how that sounds. Like, why would they trade Dingler? Well, this is when, because here's the thing, right? I think they wouldn't get Lombard Jr. though. That's the thing is they want, so this is what they would have to give up for Dingler, because Dingler's not having his an incredible season. We like him, but this isn't like a catcher who's hitting 300.
No, this isn't like Suarez where it's like, hey, do you want to buy high on this asset? Like, this is a player who is having somewhat of a down start. Yes. I would say it's a little overrated. He's playing better than what people are giving him credit for. But this isn't like some
prospect.
Yes.
I think at least one, which ERC is. Mm-hmm. I think the Yankees would have to make a decision. Are they going to keep Drew Thorpe, or are they going to keep the guy that they ended up keeping who ended up having Tommy John surgery? I always forget his name. Hell, he could be thrown into the mix here. He could be in this trade. But the
I have
point
no idea
being,
who you're talking about.
Oh, you don't know?
No. Mm-mm.
I know somebody knows, but I'll bring it up real quick here. Yanks top prospects. So,
by the way, I do want to bring up one thing. Oh, who was it? By the way,
it's Chase Hampton.
Oh yeah.
So, who apparently looks really good coming back from rehab. But okay, here's the deal though, right? So there's this, and Gary, we've talked about this. He's pre-arbitration. That makes him more valuable. Like, I understand, like, when people see that, they're like, there's no way I'm trading anybody who's pre-arbitration. That's going to be the most value they have, because people can now say control. They're not thinking about, I have to pay this guy in arbitration like we talked about last episode. So this is the moment where you do it now, because this is where the value's crazy. It's not crazy after you've already paid him 1 year of arbitration and you're already giving him money, right? So this is them if they want to cash in on the maximum value. And if you get a package of Spencer Jones and you get ERC and you get Ben Hess, and maybe you also throw in, what's his face? Chase Hampton. I don't see how they turn that down.
You need to overwhelm a team that's not playing winning baseball, or they also don't see a pathway to winning baseball in the near future and take advantage of that situation. Here's, by the way, something that I really want to mention that is pretty much always ignored. So Ed W brings up here that Detroit is not selling on Dingler. Now, the reason that he comes to that conclusion, and you can just read the obvious, is that this is a cheap, controllable asset. This is a high producer. And this is a team that predominantly doesn't spend they're not a team that blows you away as far as their payroll. So they're not really looking to bring in talent that's expensive. Now, Jake, can you remind me again, who did Oakland or Sacramento, whoever you'd like to call them, who did they trade again to the San Diego Padres? Can you remind me of who that was?
Mason Miller.
Mason Miller. Is Mason Miller a better baseball player than Dylan Dingler, all things considered?
Yes.
He is, right? Did Mason Miller have years of control? Isn't he 27 now and was even younger than that in the trade? Is that correct?
Yeah, it is.
It is. Now, mind you, you could always make the argument that a team trading away the star asset should never make that trade. The Red Sox should never trade away Mookie Betts. Why would they do that? Makes no sense. Why would you do that? You might not be winning baseball right now, but you're going to get rid of Mookie Betts? Why would you do that? Stupid. Bad decision, right? They're never going to do that. They do it anyways. Send him to Los Angeles. Mason Miller, you're going to trade Mason Miller, really? He was a starter, couldn't throw strikes, couldn't stay healthy. That was the main thing. You throw him to the bullpen, he becomes the game's best closer. It's not even really a conversation. It's a joke how good he is. And Oakland knew that. Sacramento knew that.
Yeah.
They gave away the asset. Why? Because they didn't feel like in the near future, they needed that asset at the top of the game now. We need it later. After the move to Vegas, right? They took advantage in San Diego of those current situation and received an asset, giving away a ton of value. Jake, a point you bring up to get Dingler in the first place, you need to overwhelm a team in this position with value. Brian Cashman has the value, and he has value at the unique position that Detroit needs it. And that's on the bump as a starting pitcher. ERC isn't needed in New York. He's a luxury. Hess isn't needed. He's a luxury. I would argue I would keep away LaGrange out of this deal just because of our situation where what we need is bullpen. If I'm giving away future bullpen or immediate bullpen help for a deal to bring in a catcher, I think that's a bad move for Brian Cashman. In this situation, I give away starting pitching, I give away outfielders, and I try to get this deal done all means necessary, blow them away. But of course, my first choice being Adley Rutschman, but this isn't such a bad choice either.
Yeah. And by the way, I got splits because we're splits unloaded. Can't forget. So you're looking at a guy against right-handed pitching. He's going to hit 249 for his career, 695 OPS. Left-handed, it's 263 with an 812 OPS. So he's clearly better against left-hand pitching, right?
Love that.
He also, I love seeing this. I don't know why, but it makes me feel good.
What is it?
His home splits are terrible, but he's great on the road. And typically when it's the opposite, you get Ryan McMahon situation, right? 220.
Right.
No, he's better than Ryan McMahon at home. His road splits are 277, 342 on base, and 808 OPS.
A catcher hitting 277, you don't see that every day.
No, you don't.
That's JT Realmuto territory.
So this is where it gets kind of interesting is I noticed how he has been kind of hitting all over the lineup. I mean, I think he even led off once. He batted first in the order. But
what is going on in Detroit?
I know. But here's the thing, Gary. His numbers, like when he hits eighth, he has and this is, by the way, 110 plate appearances. He's hitting 309 with a 923 OPS. Mind you, he's, as Ed just called him, he's one of the pieces here. So he has to hit in the top of the lineup, top half. But you take the pressure off him, you put him near the bottom. I mean, you might be getting an absolute steal. He hits 289 in the 7 hole. He hits 192 in the 6th. He hits 183 in the 5th, 254 in cleanup, 174 in the third, 316 in the 2-hole. But he's only had 19 at-bats in the 2-hole. Really what I'm focused on here is the 7 and 8. He's hitting 289 and 309 respectively. And that to me gets me a little excited because now
most likely situation for as a Yankee.
You pair him with him and Caballero at the end of the lineup.
Oh, God.
Now you have some serious balance there. And if you want to throw, maybe you have too many, whatever, right? You want to throw because he is a righty. So you would have two righties at the bottom of the order, and some people might not want that. Maybe throw Grisham in between them, right? Maybe throw Jason Dominguez in between.
I was going to say Jason Dominguez is the player I can really think about. Is that they've really shown an unwillingness to put him at the top of the lineup. You're not going to take Caballero out at the 9 spot. You're not going to move a potential, right? This is potential, a situation with Dingler in the 8 spot. Jason Dominguez, you can plop him right there in the 7 spot. You're not talking about Dominguez, Dingler, and Caballero, a trio there that have success in those roles. We need better role players. If the Yankees are going to go anywhere, you need better role players. And a lot of times really good players can play roles. And you find out that that's a necessity in this game. You look at the Jays, who, in my opinion, they played better than the Dodgers, didn't get it done, unfortunately for them, but they had role players that stepped up in a big way at a much higher level than what the Yankees were able to do. How did the Dodgers end up winning the World Series? Players like Rojas were able to step up. Role players, they dominated in their role. The Yankees haven't had that type of domination in those positions. So, yeah, I'm 100% listening to Brendan here in our live chat. He says role players unloaded. I love that. Well, absolutely love it.
And then we got your favorite splits. So against the Toronto Blue Jays, not a ton, only 28 at bats. He's hitting 464 and has an 1100 OPS.
He's playing MLB the show out here.
But no, like looking at the other stuff that's kind of more important, we'll say, how about runners in scoring position? 269, 352 on base, 803 OPS. This is a team that no matter who you put on it, it seems like they struggle with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, a plague.
Dingler's good with it, right? And then on top of that, 2 outs with runners in scoring position. Seems like he knows how to adjust. This is 95 plate appearances, 110, 95 at bats. We're talking 284 batting average, 382 on base, 887 OPS. This tells me this is a guy that makes adjustments, right? And so the high leverage is not great. Okay. This is his crutch. I'm seeing this. It's 226, 319 with a 755 OPS. And you can live with that, right? I mean, it's not great as in like he's not a great player. But when you look at like the medium leverage, we're talking a 288 hitter, 337 on base, and he has a 786 OPS. You have him at the 8-hole, that 7-hole, whatever. That's a really, really good piece. And so I'm looking at this not like saying that he's this superstar option. The entire point is that he's a part of something. He doesn't have to be a focal point. And I think that will maximize his overall value. And the last thing I'll say, to add on to the Dingler, thing, because like when I was looking, at like, just doing some research on him, I came across the fact that he's actually really good at ABS challenging. And I'm not just talking about him hitting, right? Because I actually don't care about that, right? I'm more focused on what is he behind the plate as a catcher. And believe it or not, Dingler has a 71% win percentage, and he's challenged 34 pitches behind the plate.
So what's Austin Wells' percentage again, just for reference?
Austin Wells is 54%. So, and he's challenged the fourth most in the MLB at 42. Dingler at 14.
When you're in the 70s, you're passing the class, and you're in the mid 50s. Yeah, there's going to be a teachers conference. So, want people to realize that's a difference there. A catcher that knows the zone, he understands the zone. Some do, some don't. It's not really a matter of good player versus bad. We're not exactly sure how it comes to this conclusion because Ben Rice does not understand the challenge system at all, as good as he is. Some players just really get it. And I think Dylan Dingler, he has enough going for him where you can be happy if this is the pickup that Brian Cashman makes. I don't know if he can afford to wait until August deadline. This is one of those moves where if it becomes available and you can pry him away from Detroit, who, again, is more likely than not going to hang on to this player at least till the winter. But I still call I still try anyways because we've seen crazier things in baseball.
Well, and Gary, big thing here. If you are worried about going all in and hurting your future, guess what?
Mhm.
Dingler's how you marry the current and the future. Because now you're getting an elite defensive anchor as a catcher. You're getting a guy that's dominant behind the plate as an ABS guy. You're getting an offensive upgrade, astronomical offensive upgrade. And on top of that, you're getting long-term control through the 2031 season. There you go. It's all right there.
There's not really an angle that makes this a bad pickup for the Yankees. It's not our first choice, but if this is the result, this is landing on your feet if you're the Yankees, and that would be a job well done for Brian Cashman. But Jake, I feel like we've touched enough on Dylan Dingler. We discussed the analytics as far as what he does with the glove. He controls the running game. He hits for contact, most importantly. High leverage is to be desired, I guess you could say, but considering being an 8-hitter, that's all you can ask for. A player who's good, not great, and he's situationally, he's opportunistic. That would be a great pickup for the Yankees. So, yeah, would love to see that. Adley Rutschman is probably our number one pick. And, of course, we're going to discuss other players as well. And if you guys have players that you want us to discuss in depth, we're willing to do that as well. I mean, we're talking we wait till the end of the show to do this. Anywho, let us know in the comment section, and we will take some recommendations as far as players that you guys like to see, and we'll do an in-depth breakdown of those players and who they're replacing. Don't just tell us you want Bobby Witt Jr. Tell us how you think we're going to get him, right? That's first and foremost. Why the team would be willing to trade him. And yeah, I feel like there's more to pry in baseball than what people make it seem. They're just like, I want that player, but no one ever talks about why that team would be willing to do business with you. What do you have that they need? Why? Give us that why in the comment section. We will definitely listen to all those recommendations. And Ed, yeah, again, thank you. Really appreciate that. But Jake, we probably should get into some picks here with prize picks.
We'll whip them up quickly. The last thing I'll say
today
is
was a
this.
bad day for us.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
The Yankees might not want to have that tough internal discussion, but it needs to be had. Do we have our franchise catcher in Austin Wells? And you and I can answer this. No,
of course.
But can they? Because it's different. You and I we're not around Austin Wells. We don't see him in the clubhouse. We don't see how everyone interacts around him. We don't see him behind the plate. We don't know how intelligent he is like they do because he's the one who's calling a game. I don't want to minimize that aspect of it, right? But the reality is catcher is really important for the New York Yankees. We've had some incredible catchers in our history. I mean, you talk about Elston Howard and you got Thurman Munson and obviously talk about Jorge Posada, Yogi Berra. Like there's been some great catchers, and even the guys that aren't like remembered forever. I mean, Brian McMahon is so much better, and people got on him. He's so much better than Austin Wells right now. So yeah, they need to figure it out. They just do. And I understand it's going to be a tough internal discussion, but I've seen, and you know this, just covering the Rams, I've seen trades, I've seen guys get cut that you would never expect to get cut, right? So sometimes you
feels like a
do
divorce, doesn't it? Right? You have a young player that everybody believed in. Maybe he was a first-round draft pick. Maybe he wasn't. Oh, he's our top guy.
The Jared
and
Goff
then you have
trade,
to cut
man.
the cord.
That
Anthony
felt weird.
Volpe, I know. The day that Anthony Volpe leaves this organization, it'll come at some point. We just have no idea when. It's going to feel like a divorce for everybody involved. It's just an ugly situation where you just envision everything working out and being perfect with this team and being this heroic Yankee. And then things all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I'm in Atlanta, or
even when you do it
Philadelphia.
Right, Gary,
what happened here?
If you're too good, you still have trade value and you could get traded away like Alfonso Soriano. There you go.
Yeah.
So
people think that every player that gets traded, they must just suck. They just have no use for that player.
Yeah.
That's why they get traded. That's not the nature of this business. If Luka Doncic could be traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, a center, or he likes to call himself a power forward, on the other side of 30, I promise you, Dingler can be traded to the Yankees for a slew of prospects. It can be done.
And we're not saying Bobby Witt Jr. or anybody like that, but I think Dingler's very realistic.
It is.
And I still say, because I would pay Adley Rutschman. I would pay him. I still think Rutschman is my number one target that we've talked about so far out of two. But Dingler, he's not just like a, man, I really wanted Adley. Like if I saw tomorrow the Yankees acquired Dylan Dingler, we're celebrating on this show. That's a huge freaking move, and I'd be hyped. So anyway, let's get into Prize Picks because they are the sponsor of this channel.
We're also at 2 hours and 15 minutes. My goodness. Do we know how to waste time, don't we?
Yep.
The time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time, as my mom likes to say.
Yeah, this is, I mean, you are watching us hang out, essentially. So we're hanging out with you, but this is also Gary and I's time to hang out, too, as buds. But, all right, let's take a look at this. Bailey Falter is the opener. I know the last time I got burned on this, Gary. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
What year is it, by the way, with that name?
I know.
That sounds like 1911.
I'll tell you right now. Cam Schlittler is going to strike out more than 5.5. I'll probably go 6.5 if you're down.
I'm down.
All right.
We said the same thing about Warren, but we can live with, if we had logic to our decision, it didn't work, I can live with it.
So hitters, strikeouts.
Come on.
It's exactly what you said, by the way. That guy didn't end up striking out once.
Yeah,
Isaac
he's been
Collins.
striking out twice every day.
Look at that. He's going to strike out. So it's going to happen. So we'll put him in there. No idea why his head's bigger, but whatever. Let's see here, because we like the strikeout, so we'll make this quick. Caglione is going to strike out as well.
Mm-hmm.
This might actually be a bit easier. Like I think like Schlittler's going to strike out most of these guys.
Yeah, at least one time, right?
So yeah, I don't need 3 strikeouts each, you know? So it is a pretty good gamble there. I think he strikes out Bobby Witt Jr. I do. Warren struck him out today, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I like
could see this. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr., it's not like he doesn't K.
Here's my issue.
It's kind of like Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge strikes out. He's a great
player. I don't
player.
know where to go with the Yankees hits. That's why I want to go predominant strikeouts, because there's an opener. So like it's so hard to really know what kind of game we're going to get.
We don't know the matchups.
I'll be quite honest with you. I would not be surprised if Boone goes against what everyone's expecting with the righty heavy lineup and just goes with a regular lineup.
You know who I picked now in this situation? Since you mentioned the opener, I think this makes a lot of sense of what you're saying. I take Belly, and here's why. Chances are, if you don't know what's going on long term, the most likely scenario is that the Yankees put in left-handed bats, right? That's the most likely, because that's their A lineup. They have Grisham leading off. Not that we love that, but anytime they make their standard lineup, Grisham leads off, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got Ben Rice. You've got a lot of lefties there. And so what's the rebuttal to that after the opener situation? Bring in the lefty. Bring in the lefty long guy. Well, who destroys lefties? Cody Bellinger.
Oh, we already had 6. Damn. I like that. You want to go for the power play? Just because
I like
so
the power play.
Low here, I think I want the 60.
Yeah, let's do the power play. The only player I'm comfortable with is lefty on lefty matchup tomorrow with Bellinger after the opener. I see that as a play for us.
All right, cool. So there you have it. We think Collins, Caglione, Jensen, Witt Jr. all striking out. Belly gets a hit, and Schlittler strikes out 7. And if you put 10 in, you end up winning 60. So I obviously put the 65 cents, the roundup. I just did it in Prize Picks.
So Jake's the type of guy who's like, he throws the change in the drawer. He's like, every time use for that.
I do not. I don't have any change in my house.
I'm the type to throw it in my center console, and then I have to peel it. Literally peel it off the car like 17 years later to sell the car.
Hilarious.
I'm that guy.
Hey, the penny's probably going to go up in value since they're not going to make them anymore.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I know, right?
They also told me totally Volpe's value was going to go up at some point, and it also didn't. So
that's true.
You just never know.
And that Jason Dominguez Superfractor $60,000 or $600,000 card. Play $5, get $50 instantly at Prize Picks. The link is in the description below. you can use promo code HMA to get in on the action. And once again, it's available in 40 states. So that is that. Shout out
I
to
know the
Prize
comment.
Picks for sponsoring today's show.
Brennan, we love to see that. And again, guys, make sure to use code HMA. Really helps us out a ton when you guys sign up and use our code.
Unloaded.
Yeah, ridiculous. Ridiculous. Guys, drop in the comment section the player that you have interest and that you think's realistic. Bobby Witt Jr. would be great, but that was a troll on X. That's not a real pickup that the Yankees have. They're not in position to even make that pickup. Drop a player that you think's realistic. Find a team out there that has a reason to trade away talent, that has control or not. Who do you think that player is? We'll take a few of those, and we're going to use these answers to make other videos and break down some of these players that could possibly join the Yankees and help us. Predominantly this year, would like to see that if the Yankees could win a World Series for the first time after 17 years. Give us some players to break down. We'll go ahead and do that for you. Drop that in the comment section, not in the live chat. That'd be great. But in the comment section below, subscribe if you're new here. I'm Gary Sheffield Jr. That is Jake Ellenbogen. Be sure to like the video.
Like the video.